There's a comment. So I think we're good. We'll
All
talk
right.
fluff and then wait till people are here and then stop. But anyways, so I know you guys go to a lot of hockey games. I'm starting out really random because I don't
That's
think
fine.
anybody will be here for a few minutes. But is that what else do you guys have to do like in your area since you're homebodies like us? But do you leave for anything more than hockey games and
Yeah, the
hockey
hockey thing is
hockey
new.
training?
That's very new because they built an arena here that opened up at the end of last year, and we have not had anything like that in this area. So that's a super new thing. Other than that, we do a lot of like the cool thing here is a very resort heavy area, so there's a lot of good restaurants and stuff. So we always like try to find fun places to eat and fun places to go. It's really pretty. There's good hiking. There's good. Not that we like are super adventurous hikers, but there's like trails you can go walk up and down and stuff. And then it's just a lot of like hanging out at home. I mean, honestly, like we're pretty big homebodies, and everything else is about 2 hours away. So if we want to go visit family or a lot of friends, it's usually about 2 hours away.
That is pretty much my area to a T, except the 2 hours away places are surely not as exciting. Like you've got big destinations
We've got
around you.
Disneyland and San Diego.
Disneyland. I've
That's
got
fun.
Kings Island in Cincinnati and Fuddruckers in Columbus, basically.
Okay, okay.
And no In and Out burgers, which is terribly upsetting.
Yeah, that is my favorite restaurant, and it's crazy because they keep building them, and it's nice. There's like four of them kind of near us. It blows my mind. So, but I never
Terrible for
go.
you, but
I want to keep it special, so like we never go there.
why do I feel like I know that? Or maybe it's someone else that told me the same thing.
I don't know.
Because
Maybe it's a
I've literally
thing.
talked to someone else that said I don't eat it very often because I don't want to burn myself out on something I love so much.
Yep, that's it. Every time I have it, I just like, oh, that's right. That's why I love this. It's so good, and I get mad at the Five Guys versus In and Out debate because to me they're not the same. Just in if nothing else in terms of price, like Five Guys is a different price category than In and Out is. So it's like
Five Guys is for very rich people. Like it is. I got a 50% off DoorDash coupon. I was like, that's it. I'm going Five Guys. And I went to check out. By the time everything was done, I was like, I'm still paying $20 for a burger. I'm just gonna bail on this right now.
yeah, that's the thing with Five Guys. In and Out, I think they raised their prices, but it's still like the burger's $3 or something. Like it's
Yeah,
really cheap.
it's. I miss it. I used to go to Vegas like
Oh
every
yeah,
year or two. I would go like a group of me and when I used to have friends in my like 20s and 30s.
yeah, I remember those
We
days.
yeah, those days were they were kind of nice, but then again, you don't miss them. But we used to go in big groups and we would walk miles to go to In and Out Burger. And Liberty Dude says, Tom, how does it feel to be hated with pure love?
It feels great. It feels great. I should have been on the 440 pure for all
You
of
could
that.
have, and you still can.
I still
I mean,
could
it's you
actually.
still could. You can switch. We could
We can
essentially
turn
make
this
this
into the
a
mic comparison.
exactly. Yes, you could get every mic out on your desk.
Oh
Those are
boy.
those are good videos. And I think people that are coming to watch this and your wife is on here and says, "Oh
Hey.
wow." Well, we'll just show it cuz we have the ability to do that on this. This is a test run on this software. So there is Heather who you should also go subscribe to besides Tom if you don't already because like I told you earlier, you two are vlogging gold. I don't know why. I don't get into reality shows. I don't get into things like that. But watching you two just have the couples table or just random videos is just really intriguing. And since some people are here now, like the one reason, besides the fact that Tom does audio and video, demos, reviews, tutorials, which are extremely, I don't know, not only helpful, but just enjoyable to watch because you've got the color scheme going on. Me and Jordan Kettner from Kettner Creative were talking about like how you've got your brand. And when I see purple and blue, no matter where I go, if I go to a store and there's like a purple and blue section, I'm like, that's the Tom Buck section
I
right there.
like that. I like that. That was I think it was Bandrew from Podcastage was like, you look like you're trying to live inside a pop punk album cover. And I was like, you know what? I'll take it. I
Yeah,
will take that.
I mean, the Aquabats are very blue.
Yeah.
And, anybody that watches your channel knows that you love those guys. I
A little
imagine
bit.
because of Yo Gabba Gabba, but I'm not 100% sure of
Actually,
that.
it was before that. It
I,
was
yeah,
years prior.
thought
Old
maybe
school.
Thought maybe you were watching it one day because it was your favorite show, and you're like, "This band rocks."
No, it was hardcore Aquabats pre Yo Gabba Gabba. Um, but man, I really did love Yo Gabba Gabba though.
Yo Gabba Gabba is good. That's I've got a couple friends, and they remind me kind of you and Heather, because I set them up doing podcasting, and they fell in love with it. And they do a show called Married Without Children, and they just kind of document their life, why they don't have children, what they're doing with their life. And I don't know that you two don't have children, but I feel like
We have
okay.
dogs, but
I thought I
yeah.
heard Heather say something about not, having children or whatever. And I thought that just, watching you two reminds me of them because they have the similar discussions, and it's just a really good show. I don't know where I was going with that exactly, but
Color scheme. Wait, it was Aquabats. Yo Gabba Gabba. That's what it was.
Yo Gabba Gabba. Yeah. And they were, they did a fostering thing for a while, and it was really endearing knowing that they don't have kids, but then hearing them ask each other what their favorite cartoons were when they were fostering. And it was like Bluey and Big City Greens. I don't know if you know either one of those. I have kids, so I know
I've
those
heard of
very well.
Bluey.
Bluey's fantastic. It's like a feel good. It's like your channel, but animals teaching valuable lessons and also being kind. It's that whole
Okay.
kind of thing.
I'll take it.
So it works out really well. But I wanted to also I'll go through some of the comments first, but part of the reason, as I was saying before, like your videos, your audio stuff, it's really well done. It's clean. It's nice. You've got a brand with your color scheme and just your setup in your room. But more importantly than that to me is just the fact that I don't know you that well. We've had conversations, but I feel I'm a pretty good judge of character, especially when I can ridicule myself when I've been a jerk. But I feel like you're a better human than, creator. And that says a lot because you're
Okay.
a fantastic creator, but you seem really genuine.
The
and
plan has
kind.
worked. My like.
Yes. It's time to rule the world.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that. I don't know. I mean, one of my favorite things about YouTube is like the you in YouTube. And I think that that's a really cool thing is that people can be themselves and share themselves. And not everyone's comfortable doing that. Heather's vlog, she's way more comfortable being super personal on camera. And if you watch my channel, it's like the main channel, there's not a lot of like, here's how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking today. It's kind of, we're talking about this topic or we're sort of staying here. So it's different for everybody, but I really do value when it feels like you could meet someone off of YouTube and feel like they're the same person that you see all the time. And I'm fortunate enough that pretty much everyone I know through YouTube, that has been the case for the most part. I guess maybe there's one or two. But I think that's awesome. And I think that comes across when someone's watching something and especially if it's like hundreds of videos, you can only keep up a facade for so long before it would start to fall apart.
Yeah. You're going to slip up at some point. And we've seen YouTubers do that. I'm not going to name any in particular, but we've seen controversy, with YouTubers. But for the most part, maybe I'm biased, but it seems like the video audio enthusiasts, like it almost seems fraternity-ish. It almost seems like a group of, college frat buddies and sisters. And I've yet to meet anybody that does, well, okay, I'm not going to lie. There's one, but 99% of everyone I have met through this, which is why I wanted to do this whole creator connection series, is completely give and take. Like it's not a selfish thing, and it's not, let's do this and get more subscribers, and let's do this and take advantage of this or that and the other. And it just seems like a good circle to be in. And it's really been the best hobby I've ever had, bar none,
100%.
hands down.
Yeah, no contest to like anything else. It's definitely a really cool group of people, and it's been so much fun. Like because people can do YouTube for so long, it's been fun to start a channel and then get to connect with people that I used to watch and maybe want to start a channel, and then like we could be in a stream together or comment on each other's videos or something. It's crazy. You can't really do that with I don't know like a movie star or something that you would see normally.
No, and I'm not into movie stars. Like
I'm not either.
I
I would
really
not.
have the
I don't
celebrity
like.
thing.
I've never really gotten starstruck by like there's Brad Pitt or there's somebody that's cool, but like if I don't know, if Bandrew walked by or
Yeah,
if Curtis Judd was at a booth, I'd be like,
Yeah, because you can relate to those people more. Like you know,
Yeah.
instantly you're going to have something in common or something to talk about. And
Yeah.
to me, that's and the fact that it's everyday people. You know, it's which a lot of
Yeah.
everyday people become famous and actors and this and that and stay humble. You know, we all love Keanu Reeves, but there's just something different about it. Like there's something different about the excitement of like having you on and knowing like you know, Tom was a teacher and now Tom's not a teacher because he took advantage of this fantastic platform and it's worked out. And
Yeah.
like you and Heather were talking about, like the goal's been achieved. You don't need anything more. You'll take, you know, the
Sure. Yeah.
subscribers and the fans and the circle, but the goal's achieved. And that's
Yeah.
kind of
And
what I'm doing. I just want to be happy. And this is part of it.
yeah. And that's what's fun. And I feel like there are a lot of people, especially in this niche, that's kind of their philosophy is like, just do it for the love of it. And wherever it goes is where it goes.
Yeah. And a lot of people sadly do it for the wrong reasons. Like, not saying it's like malicious, but a lot of people like, I want to be a YouTube star.
Yeah.
And then they think of how can I do it and let me exploit my child and have him open toys. And that may be fun. That may be awesome and fun. And there's plenty of genuine stuff out there. But like if I decided to start an Apple review channel, like I would fail because I don't get along with Apple products very well. They frustrate me a little bit. So I would surely fail. And doing that for the subscribers and the hopes to quit my job would just be a terrible idea. A terrible idea to do odd microphones too, but you got to do something you like.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good one. It's helpful.
To some, I just don't, I don't know how many people are out there looking for, the next microphone from Fifine. Yeah. I don't think there's enough to quite get me to a goal, but it doesn't matter. So it's kind
Yeah.
of the, get there or die trying kind
They
of
do make
mentality,
good
I guess.
microphones though, honestly. Like they're
Well,
not
and
bad.
I shouldn't have said that because those are probably my most viewed videos, or
Oh.
Fifine and Mayo.
Yeah. One of mine is too, and I was like, I think I just went to Amazon and I was looking up like cheap USB mics. So I just found whatever the cheapest USB mic was. I wanted to test it out, and it happened to be a fine one. I think it was the K669,
Yeah.
and I was so happy when I saw the name because I was like, oh, this name is just ripe for like
Oh,
all
punnable.
kinds of wordplay. It would have been so terrible if it was one of those like random companies. It's like NXOOG4, and you're like, I can't do
Yeah.
anything with this.
And there's a lot of those. Those companies do make some pretty decent stuff. I
A
mean,
lot of
there's
it's in the same factories as the other companies, so it's like
yeah,
it's the
yeah.
same thing.
I'm using a Comica interface tonight just because I don't know. I just wanted to see how it would do, and it seems to be
Comica's
doing
good.
okay. Yeah, Comica is pretty good. I mean, it's decent budget stuff, especially for the video guy. Which I gotta ask. I know you love both, but I feel you're starting to creep towards the audio camp a little bit more.
I mean, I don't know if in the videos, teaching is what pushed me that way because I love video, but very quickly working with students and seeing them like just understanding how bad poor audio could affect a project. And I very quickly learned, okay, audio is way more important than the video part, even in a video project. And then just spending years and years trying to get people to at least recognize that a little bit
Yeah.
definitely pushed me towards like focus on audio. And audio is really fun. And it's like, I don't know, there's just so much you can do with it. And I feel like you can be more nimble with audio than video. Like if you want to change a camera, it's a whole process. If you want to change a microphone, it's a lot quicker and simpler. And at least for me, I don't know. I like
Well,
that.
do you have okay? What excites you more? I don't know if you have gear acquisition syndrome
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
I do. Okay.
1000%.
So, what excites you more, getting a new camera or getting that new mic that you're actually maybe even? I don't know.
I would say it's actually pretty even. I got my Sony cameras like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and they've kind of cured my gas for cameras a little bit because they're really good. So maybe I'm like leaning more towards audio because there's something weird like the Rode NT1 fifth gen. It's like, hey, there's something kind of new about this microphone. The 440 versus the 240. I was like, what's the deal with those two?
Yeah.
So I guess maybe I currently have a little more curiosity about audio, and I think I would happily admit that I know less about audio than video. So it just feels like there's more to learn. Not that I know everything about video because I don't, but
More
I,
advanced there.
I feel like that's a stronger skill set than audio. So audio is very much like still figuring stuff out all the time.
Yeah, me too. That's what I hate is when someone assumes like, oh, this guy thinks he's an expert. It's like, oh no, oh
No, no,
no, no,
no.
no, 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 no. I just love gear. I am a
Yeah.
gearhead. I mean, that's why I had a problem, getting my setup started and trying 4 different, PC setups is because I sadly have 4 different PC setups because I just like getting the stuff in and upgrading it and having fun with it. And, I don't use any of these 100 mics in my studio. I I use them all like twice, 3 times, 4 times, at the max. And it's just getting it in your hand and being like, ooh, piece of candy. Like
Yeah,
it's just nice.
exactly. Exactly. And I mean, it's fun. Like when I do my own podcast, I usually do 10 episode seasons and I try to use a different mic pretty much every episode, but that means each one mic is getting used one time per season, 10 episodes. But if I have like 30 mics, you could, in theory, go a whole season without even using it for a podcast, but not
Yes.
because I don't want to. It's just like, yeah, what is the one that I'm really, really into right now? And I just want to use that one, which has
Yeah.
been like the Lewitt's a lot lately.
Well, I feel like you're going to make the LCT 240 and maybe 440 like your booth junkie mic. Like he's so associated with the E100S from CAD. And I think when
Yeah.
people see the Lewitt at some point, because, the circle of audio enthusiasts, like they're surely most of them are watching something that you do. So that LCT 240 is going to someday, maybe they'll come out with a blue and purple version of it, the TB,
Ooh.
the
Ooh.
LTB 240 Pro.
That would be, you know what? That would be fine. The Lewitt is funny because it's like I've only ever had good experience with Lewitt stuff. And obviously like with this mic, but in my mind, if I were trying to go towards like what is the mic that I would want to, there's mics from, Shure and obviously there's Rode mics and there's Sennheiser stuff and Earthworks, where I'm like, oh yeah, like if I would cherry pick something, that would be it. But the Lewitt just over and over again keeps proving itself to be so good. And then somebody in the video I made for it recommended this little mount that now I can position it how I want it. So it's like total game changer because now the mic is easy to use. That was why I never used it. It was hard with the shock mount to get it where I wanted it to go.
Yeah.
And now I can easily, reliably. Yeah, so it's hard. And then the 440 came in, and I've been having a lot of fun comparing these two.
I can't decide which one I like more for your voice because they both sound really, really good. And now, I'm using the LTB 240 right here, but it's the white
Yeah.
version. But now I really want the 440, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah, I
find.
wasn't that I love this one so much I was not that interested in it, but it was so funny. It was because people in the comments to my video on it kept saying, "You need the 440, you need the 440." That then Lewitt did reach out and they're like, "We saw people doing this. Do you just want one to try, no pressure?" And of course I was like, "Sure." I was planning to buy it cuz so many people would recognize it, but it's like if you want to save me a couple $100, why not? And there's no pressure to do anything with it. And now I'm kind of torn. I was really doing just some comparisons today. There's definitely a difference, but it's tricky. I think I kind of hate to say it. I don't know if I prefer the 440, but I might.
I'm
But
leaning that way because I've heard you use them both a lot. I'm leaning 440 lately.
I think I'm leaning that way, but I think I would more easily recommend the 240 because the smaller capsule, at least from what I feel like, makes it less prone to picking up more of your room environmental
Yeah.
noise. So unless you're in a good treated space, I think you could end up with the 440 and be like, ooh, I just hear all the noise everywhere. Whereas
Yeah.
this one is way more forgiving. It's almost like a dynamic mic in a way.
Yeah, it is. And it's I listen to a lot of podcasts and YouTube videos in my car, and
Yeah.
cars in 2023, they tend to be a bit on the bassy side. So
Yeah.
when you do use a large diaphragm condenser, like sometimes you do get that, that I don't want to call it a muddy effect, but a little bit boomy
Yeah,
effect
for
in your
sure.
speakers. And I feel like the LCT 240 is really safe. It's a really safe choice because I don't think you're gonna it's hard to mess up. It's hard to mess up that clear and present, non-shrill or harsh sound. It's just kind of
Hmm.
foolproof,
Yep. Absolutely.
which is amazing because it's a tiny little really tiny electric capsule.
Yeah, it looks cheap. When you look at it, you're like, that's
Oh, it
okay.
is. I like that capsule's on JLI Electronics. I believe it's the same one for like $8, $10, something like that. But they found a way to combine it with the right circuitry, and it just sounds great for
Yeah,
what it is.
they did magic.
Liberty Dude says, Tom, did you do this with your students? If so, do you try to keep in touch with the ones you predicted? I missed something.
Yeah,
What
what
did you
did I
predict?
predict?
Clarify, Dude of Liberty. Oh, wait. When in high school decades ago, here, maybe we need to go with this comment first. When in high school decades ago, took 3 years of television class. We used to try and predict who would make it in the business. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Interesting. We didn't do any predictions because my big thing was that even though it was a digital media program, it wasn't to try to make kids go be Hollywood directors because realistically, it's like, yeah, you're not going to join the football team to be a pro athlete.
Right.
Maybe a kid would do it, but most of them probably wouldn't. What I would try to share with the students was like, this is a whole world filled with really cool stuff. You might find that you have an aptitude for this that you didn't know about. And that happened a lot, especially for students that were bad at, or not that they were bad, but they just didn't fit in like a math class or a whatever more traditional class, and they'd come here and suddenly be like a superstar. And I was like, these skills are good everywhere, like being able to be creative, communicate, problem solve, plus honestly just being able to make a video, figure out software, record some audio. You'll be shocked at how much that comes in handy throughout life, even if you're not trying to be a podcaster or a video creator or anything. And that was the biggest thing that I tried to push with them. And then every once in a while, a kid it would catch, and you could just tell that that was like their thing. And I definitely did have students who, by the age of like 23 or something, they were doing like real estate stuff and high end weddings, and they were
Yeah.
like making way more money than I was, which was really cool. Like it was so fun to see.
Yeah. It's fun to root for those people. I mean,
Yeah.
when you don't have an interest, and that's the thing, like, as long as you got an interest in it, as long as it's just something that you feel is fulfilling,
Yeah.
like if somebody's doing that stuff and making it, a thing, like Gil. I know
Yeah.
Gil was the first guest on the show. What a nice guy. Like he's a great dude. I love this for that too, just getting to know people a little better. And he's out there living his best life
Yeah,
by
seriously.
recording people, podcasting, which he said he was going to get away from a little bit, but just the videography and just doing those things. And,
He
some
always
of us
says he's
are
gonna get away from it, and then I see him like
do more.
level up his setup somehow more.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm getting away from it, but now I have this other camera or this other thing, and I'm like, that seems he's really good at it. So
He is, yeah, extremely good at it.
yeah,
So now I do want to switch gears just a tiny bit. We've been talking music a little bit, and obviously, I'm very 90s, and you're
Yeah.
definitely mostly 90s because we're just a few years apart. I think you're
Yeah.
about 38. Not to out you on,
no,
live
yeah,
stream.
I'm 37 right now.
Okay.
I'll be 38 this year.
So definitely the same time period, but
Yeah,
we know Tom loves ska because
Oh, yeah.
the Aquabats are ska. When I was listening to Less Than Jake the other day, I was like, oh, I guarantee Tom knows this, and not
Yeah.
everybody does. That's not maybe in Cali it's more common than here in Ohio because everybody here is like, yeah, Brooks and Dunn, yeah, but a lot more Brooks and Dunn here. But I got curious. I was like, was it just that brand, or were you were you a punk in high school? Did you have the mohawk, the chains?
no,
Is that what drew Heather to you? Did she see you and you had the mohawk and the big chain with the lock on it? And
I was like the exact opposite. I was the kid where literally it'd be like April of the school year, and like a letter would come from the office, and they'd be like, "Oh, this is a thing for Tom," and people would be like, "Who is there? There's no one in here that by that name." And I'm like, "I've been here for 6 months." So it was quite the opposite of that. I'm curious to know I want to know after this how you got into that, because like you said, Southern California being into third wave ska is like, it wasn't that
Normal.
hard to sort of fall into.
yeah,
For me though, I was like I had a friend in elementary school who had an older brother in middle school.
oh
And
yeah, that's where it starts.
he introduced us to like Rage Against the Machine and Smashing Pumpkins and all the cool '90s alternative stuff, which I still really like both those bands a lot. So
Yeah, me too.
cool with that. And then as I got older and you kind of become a teenager, and especially just what was happening at that time, I went through the late '90s of like Korn, Limp Bizkit, new metal, like yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah.
um,
I gotta say real quick, I have had a resurgence with Limp Bizkit. I,
you know,
I tried to hate him when I was younger. I tried to be too cool for him, but at the end of the day, they're a lot of fun and they actually are catchy as hell. So I am off my hating Limp Bizkit wagon. I'm actually a big fan these
I
days.
feel like the whole world is kind of because whatever they've done recently, where they've sort of like become self-aware.
Yes, that's it. That's it. They know. They know.
Yeah,
You know,
it
and now
works.
we know that they know. Like we
Yeah,
thought they were serious and now we know they're not.
yeah, and well, Wes Borland I've always loved, and I still love.
Me,
Like he's one of the
yes.
reasons I wanted to play guitar.
Yep.
And he did a solo album while he was with Limp Bizkit. It was just all him on every instrument, and it was insane. Like it was
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah, his music is definitely very out there outside of Limp Bizkit, but with them it's like, my God, the hooks and the catchiness are just off the charts.
It's insane. It's off the hook. But yeah, so I like getting into that stuff. And where I grew up was a town, it was a very small town that was, I describe it at the time, it was a lot of people who were very excited to be white. And and they liked a
Oh,
certain kind of music and they didn't like
right.
other things. And it was sort of a weird place. And I felt like everybody took themselves real seriously. And I just never quite like, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
And when I accidentally discovered the Aquabats one day, like on Morpheus or Kazaa or whatever, like file sharing thing, and I was like, they have a song where they do sort of parodies of, it's one song and it's like they do it in the style of Korn, Limp Bizkit, Kid
Oh
Rock,
yeah.
and I was like, oh my, it sort of pointed out to me like these bands that are super serious are kind of cheesy in their own way.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this band? I was like, this band is super cheesy, but they're doing it like on purpose. And I'm so grateful for that because it pulled me into this world of it's okay to be ridiculous. It's okay not to take yourself serious. And they weren't a huge band. So it's like a lot of stuff they did was very DIY, releasing your own records, taking advantage of the emerging internet. And I thought that was awesome, not having to rely on anybody else. And that pulled me in there. And then like everything else I discovered was just sort of through them in some
Yeah.
way. And that was it.
It's Lodo Tech says Ska for the win because he is Lodo Tech is also here in Ohio, just a few hours away from me. So it's good to hear that there's more ska people out
Yeah,
there.
that's what I'm curious because how did it work for you? What was your like?
Hey, Gil.
Oh, Gil's
Thanks,
here.
sir. Gil's here, and he's
He's
already
super
throwing
chatty.
tips. He's already throwing that podcast production video
Yeah, yeah.
quality money out there. Thank you guys. So what? How did I get into
Yeah, how'd you
ska?
get into like? I mean, I know you have varied taste, but how did your third wave ska pop punk kind of taste form?
I will try to keep it short as to not take up a whole. I could talk music
Yeah.
for days and days and days. But anyways, quick breakdown. Growing up in Ohio, of course, everyone's like Brooks and Dunn, Garth Brooks, Travis Tritt. Woo! Never could get into that. Never got into any of it. Luckily for me, long story short, I don't have much of a relationship with my parents, but thankfully for me, my father grew up playing in bands, loved rock.
Yeah.
Last time I remember going to watch his band, he's probably in his 40s and I was, 20, something like that. And I went to watch his band play, and I knew my dad was a good guitarist. Like, he can play Yngwie Malmsteen, all that. He's really good. And he has been on the Billboard charts with one of his bands in the past a long time ago. But I went and watched him play, and they played Flagpole Sitta. You remember that song?
Oh yeah, Harvey Danger.
Harvey
Yes.
Danger. And they played, I want to say When September Ends, maybe, by Green Day. And I was like, wow. Like,
Okay.
my dad actually likes some of the same stuff that I like, because I've always loved
That's
Green
pretty
Day.
legit. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thankfully, thanks to him, I liked rock from an early age, but sadly that meant Warrant, Cherry Pie. Cherry Pie was my jam for a long time, outing myself on the internet. But I was really into that, and my aunt got me into Warrant, and at the time it was like, it was either Def Leppard and Warrant or, country or pop. And I've never been much of a pop guy. Country, I kind of despise. It's just not for me, even though I'm in country land. But thank God for remembering where you were when Smells Like Teen Spirit come on. I remember exactly where I was, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? Warrant sucks. Warrant is terrible. And yeah, I met a girl that was a few years older than me. Her name was Mandy Rowe. I have a lot of appreciation for her as well. And she invited me over to watch some kind of like crazy movie. It was kind of like BMX or whatever, and I used to be really big into BMX.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this movie, and the sound was off, and me and her and like two other friends of hers, I was like a young lad at this time, but they were watching this movie to a soundtrack, and that soundtrack was Pennywise.
Oh.
And I was so floored by the speed and angst of that band that was just it. From then, it was like an exploration of punk. I wanted to find every bit of punk that I could, and that led me to Operation Ivy and, Less Than Jake and Real Big Fish and Mad Caddies and all that stuff. And I was just it was just my jam, And I went to concerts with a buddy of mine who now lives in San Francisco. He lives right by Fat Mike of NoFX, actually. And, but yeah, we went to every punk, ska, Save Ferris, didn't matter. Whatever punk or ska, we were there. Like at the Newport in Columbus, there was always punk and ska shows. So I've been to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of punk and ska shows, and it really stuck until I got old and angry and was like, I like metal now, And but I always go back to that stuff. And here lately, it's been a resurgence. There were some of those bands I hung on to, like Blink 182. Don't care what anybody says. I will always. Everything they put out, I'm going to think's gold, whether it's with Skiba, DeLong, doesn't matter.
I love it all, like the whole.
Yeah, it's just great stuff. And, now the resurgence is happening. And it's one of those things where it's like, man, I'm glad that I, at least know Tom a little bit, enough to know that there are some ska and punk allies out there in the world that I can talk to online. And then when I step out my door again, Randy Travis.
You just live in stagecoach country.
It's bad. I mean, it's rough out here. It's 76% red, and I'm not into politics or anything like that, but I am very misplaced where I live. So,
well, I mean, that also explains maybe the like being drawn to the punk side of things, a bunch of music by people who kind of don't fit in a lot of times where they're from.
And that was definitely me. I was not a popular kid in high school, didn't want to be for that matter. It was just kind of like, I want to be, the kid that everybody's like, what is wrong with him? I didn't have a problem with it. So
yeah, no. That's very, very similar. That's cool though.
It's an interesting thing to do, to grow up in rural small town Ohio when you feel like you belong, which I did live in Vegas for a minute. I moved to Vegas for a while. But that, it didn't feel the same. It was like, I kind of want to go back to Ohio where I'm cool to some people and lame to most.
That's a good tagline.
Yeah. Cool to some people, lame to most.
It's pride. I'd take it. I like Gil. I saw a comment from Gil said, I love a good lore. And I like thinking of this as like the Bark lore.
It's, I don't know what lore it is, but I'm just glad people enjoy it to some extent. Cause I don't know about you. What else how do you combat burnout? Have you thought about doing anything else? I know that Heather might inspire you with her multiple channels. I know you have multiple channels, but I feel like you pay most of the attention to, the self-named brand.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But have you thought about doing anything else just to?
I mean, my hobby is like collecting hobbies is what I've realized. And so I just always audio video stuff is the thing I've just never get sick of. So that's like, if I'm going to make a channel, it's going to be about that because I'll talk about it forever. But Warrant was my first concert. Wow. Warrant and Def Leppard. Wow.
Hey,
I didn't know that about you, Philip.
it was the best of what was available back then.
I appreciate that. But yeah, so I have I just always have things that I'm exploring and interested in. And sometimes it like ebbs and flows. Like I'll be more interested in this and then this. And I think even though that means I'll never be super excellent at any of those things because there's too many of them, at least it makes everything exciting and interesting. Music's been a big one. Like I've been playing guitar. I started playing guitar in 2001, so it's been a while. Not the Stained song, but
I just thought the same thing. I was like, please break out into a rendition of it. Please grab the bass and just do it.
I need to pierce my eyebrow and then I'll do it.
And put on a
Um,
"Don't Tread on Me" hat and then do it.
but like I'm not. I definitely no one would listen to me play music and be like, that guy's been playing for like 22 years. Be like, cool. Like, what's it been, 8 months or something?
Yeah.
But it's just fun, and so sometimes I'll get really into that, and I'll want to like the last year's been all about the all about that bass, and that's just what I'm super into. And then sometimes it's guitar, and sometimes it's drums, and then sometimes it's something that's not music related, and all those things I think help keep other things fresh. And I've discovered that even when I do something where I it has nothing to do with audio video production, somehow it ends up affecting it in some way, or like it all ends up being connected in a weird way, basically.
Yeah. And see, that's kind of like I have guitars hanging here, sort of like, I've got a bass in the corner. Like I can, if I wanted to create a song, which I have stuff on Spotify and all that good stuff,
Oh,
but
nice.
I don't. Oh yeah, nobody will ever get the links, but it's there. Um, just for my like entertainment to know that it is there. But I've been playing since I was 16, but there is no way anyone would know it once I pick it up because I never bothered to learn much about chords. It was always more about what sound I could create,
Yep.
and I didn't really care to play other people's stuff, so I never really learned to do all that stuff. But it's enjoyable, but I am terrible, and I did wonder that because your stuff is in every video, and it's like,
I know.
how good
It's
is Tom?
in a way it's terrible branding, because if someone watches a video with the sound off, like, this is a music channel, I'm like, no, never. Like, it's not at all. But I don't know. Guitars are just so like
They're beautiful.
pretty. They're cool, and
Yeah.
they look like I play all of them. They're not just like for show, but not great. The bass is I sorry to my guitars, but the bass I think is my favorite now.
I kind of
Discovered that.
enjoy my bass. Like I pick it up a lot more than any of my guitars because I know I'm terrible on those. But bass, I feel like since I'm a novice guitar player, I feel like I'm an advanced bass
That's
player.
kind of how I felt. And then I took a bass course last year, and it did go into like theory and scales and stuff that I could never wrap my head around with a guitar. And for some reason on the bass, it just made sense. And I was like, oh my God, I finally understand basic basic theory that I just couldn't get before. Something about the bass just works for me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm a bad guitarist, but
I think that's why it works for me.
I did get something. I'm gonna see if I can grab this real quick. I can't demo it.
Yes, he's going to get an acoustic guitar, and we're going to get a Tom Buck show.
No, somebody. This is the magic of YouTube. So somebody
Is that the
emailed
fart
me,
box?
and they were yes. You
Okay.
recognize this?
I'm a gearhead. I feel like
Okay.
everything I see, like my wife gets so mad. I'm just like RE20,
Yeah.
just pointing out stuff, and she's like, "Will you stop?" And I'll be like,
I didn't know. I didn't know anyone would know what this is. So I'm gonna see if I can block this out if the camera will do it, so the audience can see. This is called the fart pedal.
Mm-hmm.
The person who created this reached out to me, and they're like, "Hey, love your channel. See the guitars and stuff. My company makes this. Do you want to try it out? It's called the fart pedal." And I was, you get those emails all the time, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Well, you get those emails.
Well, I mean,
all
not
the
not
time.
the hey, you want to do this, you want to try it out, but the like.
Yeah, no.
Sometimes it seems like it's a company you've never heard of that's asking for a review kind of thing.
I definitely kid. I get the like, will you check out this robot vacuum? And I'm like, that has nothing
Yeah.
to do with microphones, but
Right.
you
It's
know.
eyelash serum. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And I thought that was this at first, and then I was like, no, this guy's being really specific about the channel. I think he actually knows me. And then his URL was fart.pizza. That's his actual website. And so I was like,
Okay.
okay, I'm sold. Send me the thing. And then he sent it. It comes in a can, like a bean can that you have to actually use a can opener. to,
That's
like,
awesome.
I had to email him and go like, I don't want to destroy this. Am I supposed to use a can opener? He's like, yeah. So then
There's
I
no
plugged
other
this-
way.
There's no other way. That's the only way to open it.
That's good
So-
marketing.
So then I plugged it in and I was like, okay, fart pedal. I don't know what I expected it to do, but it just every time you play a guitar, it just makes a fart sound. And it's not even necessarily correlated to what you're playing at all. It's just different, really like
Kind of like the Alexa. If you tell Alexa to fart, and then she's like, "Do you want to hear an animal fart? Do you want to hear a
Yeah,
long Ripley fart?"
they're very like detailed, high resolution. And it's almost like uncomfortable, and it's the silliest, most ridiculous thing, and so much went into making this, and I love it so much, and it's like completely unusable. But I like this kind of, I don't know, why I thought of this, but something about, I don't know, fart.pizza is what I was like, this is so stupid and ridiculous, and I love it. And that is something that would not have happened with YouTube, but that's the closest I've gotten to doing like a music review.
I'm really hoping that you have at least one time taken a small amp and one of your instruments outside with the fart pedal and just played on the porch.
We do have neighbors who sometimes really like lighting off fireworks in the wee hours of the morning. Next time.
That's a great idea.
Next time.
They will be completely freaked out.
That'll be a good one. Oh
So
boy.
what you said that Lewitt sent you that 440,
Yeah.
and I just kind of like shouting out companies sometimes because it's one of the most surprising things to me about the whole YouTube thing is how downright freaking cool some of these companies are. And
Yeah.
I know, I'm sure you can tell too. You can read the lines between different emails. Like you can 100% tell when someone just wants their product shown. And then you can 100% tell, in my opinion, when whoever you're talking to, a rep from a company or whatever, is genuine and like
Yeah.
literally finds value in what you do, not just what you can do for them. And I feel like Lewitt, you mentioned that, like for them to just reach out and be like, hey, we saw you using the 240. We're going to send you the 440. No expectations, no nothing. Like,
Yeah.
how cool was that? I would not have imagined that getting
'cause
into this.
they're kind of then they're kind of like a bigger company, so
Yeah.
it's pretty great. And then I felt bad actually because the person who emailed, she's like, I sent you an email like 2 years ago and you didn't reply to it, and I searched through and she was right. From like summer of 2021, there was an email from her going like, hey, you want to do sponsored content with Lewitt? And I was like, oh my God, I didn't mean to not reply. I'm so sorry. I felt terrible. And she was like, no, seriously, like whatever we would have done, the video you made was so much better. So we're happy you didn't. They loved the video, which wasn't intended to be a sponsored thing, but it's like, Heather and I were talking about this today. Sometimes people think that only if something is negative is it honest, but the flip side to that is I kind of only talk about stuff I'm excited about. So
Yeah.
I'll be critical of things when necessary, but if I'm talking about something and spending the time to make a video about it and use it, it would be silly of me to do something I hate. Like, oh, this thing sucks. I'm going to use it for a month
Yeah.
and just torture
Yeah.
myself. And so, yeah, so, the video was pretty positive, but it's
Yeah.
been really cool. I have genuinely great experiences. The audio world too. People are just so nice. Like Lewitt, Rode, Sennheiser, Earthworks. Those are the ones that really come to mind. Is I've had awesome relationships with people from those companies that have nothing to do with making a video or anything sponsored. And it's just me learning that they're huge audio nerds who just
Yeah.
want to talk about audio. And that one of the coolest things was Sennheiser. I don't even remember how this started, but I got an email from like one of the designer engineer people at Sennheiser. And all that it was he was just talking about the channel and that he liked it. And the thing, I had done a video where I had an angle on the side and you could kind of see my boom arm, which had the Rode Video Mic NTG on it. And he was like, I just want to just offer some friendly stuff. And he had like taken screenshots and then drawn things where he's like, if you place your mic here, you'll avoid reflections bouncing off of this, that, and the other thing. And he did it in a way that was not presumptuous. It was like really down to earth and just really awesome. And I kept asking him questions. Okay, should I do this? And he helped me position the mic, even though it's not even a Sennheiser microphone. It was a Rode mic,
Yeah.
and it's like he just was interested in audio. And then we started talking, and then I was asking questions, and that's how I ended up, discovering like the MKH50, which replaced the Rode mic, as being like my main out of frame microphone. And then we've done sponsored stuff since, but that started with literally just kind of becoming friends with someone and them being great and just super nice. And they even found out, like, Heather and I were going to New York last year, and they're like, oh, you guys don't eat meat, go like here's some awesome restaurants to go to. And they were like the best restaurants. It was that's cool. It has nothing to do with microphones, but now I feel it builds
Actually,
a lot of trust. It's
genuinely
genuine.
welcomed by him. Yeah,
They're
they don't
real
have to do
people.
that.
Yeah, I've talked to it's probably okay that I don't know why it wouldn't be okay. I'm saying these nice things, but I've talked to people from Earthworks. That's another company that is like just nerds about audio, like
Yeah.
total nerds. And I'm talking to one of them about the Blue Sona, and this person was like, "Oh yeah, I have friends that work for Logitech and have been working on that." And they were just like, "I'm so happy that that microphone is good and that it came out good. And I hope it's a winner for them." And they were just talking about Earthworks, or well, not in their official capacity, but the person who associated with them was just talking about how excited they were for the people they knew at Blue and Logitech to release something that they thought was going to be great. It wasn't like we need to destroy them or other company sucks. It was like their microphone's great, our microphone's great, cool. I
Yeah.
love that.
And how about Sennheiser? Like literally, what would they do? They donated to like how many mics?
Yeah. Oh
How
my
many of
gosh.
the profiles? That
There's not even honestly an official number because it's kind of whatever. Sennheiser, this was a thing. Eventually, when we did a sponsored thing at the beginning of this year when the profile was coming out, I don't even know why they chose. I don't really know why they chose me to do it, but I got to get the mic early and like kind of be the person that announced it even before it was like on their website and stuff. Um, and they said this will be a sponsored thing, and I was like, yeah, it's I can't call that a review. Like no one else can even buy it.
right.
And they were really big on this is going to take some time for you to put together, and we want to pay you for your time. And so I was like, okay, I'll take a sponsorship thing, but instead of like the full sponsorship fee, let's split it where I get my like money, but then also we send microphones to people. And that way, when I make the video, I don't feel like, oh, this is sponsored. I'm sorry. I'm like really excited to say this is sponsored. And so that was my idea was they had said the profile is so simple, it's gonna be really great for like schools and organizations like that. And I was like, yeah, 100% it really would be. We should find some schools to donate these to because I know firsthand how difficult that would be. And they were so on board with that. And I had met some other teachers just through doing YouTube, some that I had known in person and some that are on the other side of the planet that I just, I'd sort of helped them, not, I shouldn't even say help them. They had asked some questions as they're starting programs, and I just sort
Yeah.
of gave them some whatever and kind of followed their progress. Like these places would really benefit from a class set of microphones, and Sennheiser was on board with that. And I was like, sometimes people try to scam me into giving them free stuff, but sometimes I find people that I really want to send something to, and I can't. Like, I don't have enough things, or shipping is insane. Can you also set aside some microphones that if I just say like, hey, I found somebody who would really benefit from this, let's send it to them. They're like, sure, sure. So they set aside, I think I'm just going to keep asking them until it runs out, but I think it's like 20 or 30 of those, which is awesome. And then we found 3 school programs that they're donating full class sets of, but not just the mics, also like headphones.
Oh
And
wow.
then as they've been talking to them, I want to do an update once all the programs have everything, but it takes a while to get there. But they're kind of customizing it. Like, oh, we talked to this person, we realized maybe they don't need as many mics, but they need more of this or more of that, or a different kind of mic or something. And I'm like, that's cool, whatever. Like, I think that's awesome. It's not even just here's 30 USB mics, do something with them, but it's literally they're sitting down going like, what do you actually need? And then helping them out. That's the fact they were excited to be on board with that and didn't even question it was amazing to me. It's just
Yeah. And that's the exact kind of people that you want to do that for. And that's
exactly.
part of the reward of doing this is like finding a way to pay it forward, even if it's not you yourself buying and sending, but like you're facilitating something good like that. And it's just yeah, that's part of what makes this whole thing like so awesome. Like because it's really hard to give back or to do good without a platform unless you just
Yeah.
go walking the streets looking for people to help, which is going to be tough. I'll go up and be like, "Hey, you look hungry." Like, no, I just like Brooks and Dunn. Okay. It's really difficult to just find ways to be kind, and this whole platform is just, I don't know. There's really just nothing like it. And when
No,
I watch your video and hear that story, I'm like, okay, that pushes me. I'm like, I got to keep going. I've got to find a relationship with a company, that will do that kind of stuff. And I kind of have in a way, like Ceramonic, the guys from
Oh yeah,
those guys are awesome.
yeah.
Guys and gals are fantastic. Like they're sending me more stuff. They're giveaways and giveaways and giveaways. And I don't even think they care about pushing, the stuff, because they know that my Ceramonic videos get, 500 to maybe a K, videos. And you're probably not going to sell many mics. And I don't think they care. I just
That's the
think
way to do it, though.
yeah, you can't really think of nothing but that. We've got
Yeah,
enough of that in this country right now, enough capitalism, corporate, this and that. Like, we need to just find a way to do something decent. And
yeah, and
it's so exciting to get those opportunities.
yeah, and it's awesome to find companies that are willing to do that. And just, I mean, like, just sharing knowledge. Like you were saying earlier, I don't know if reviewing obscure microphones is like the best way to grow on YouTube, but there are a ton of people who maybe don't need another SM7B review, but they want to find something good that's affordable, that's that,
Yeah.
and it's like that is an actual service that can someone can find it, get the thing that works for them, and genuinely improve like their quality of work or quality of work life just because you shared some knowledge and some info, and that
Yeah. Well,
that's
and
awesome.
that I've said this small snippet a million times, but I 100,000% in my own way ripped off Bandrew. 100%. Like I started a podcast and I kept, I didn't, the punk in me didn't want an SM7B. I had to be a little
Oh,
bit different. You know, the punk in me had to find that really odd green mohawk mic.
I get you.
So I keep finding these microphones. I'm like, dang it, Bandrew hasn't done this one. Why hasn't Bandrew done this one? And then I come to find, like, Bandrew's not looking for odd used mics. Bandrew does new releases and this and that. And I was like, okay, I don't think he'll be upset if I start buying used mics. And I kind of do my own Bandrew thing.
Yeah,
So, and luckily he was not, because Bandrew's one of those really cool,
yeah, of course.
99% of the circle, very supportive, very awesome dude. And, but yeah, I wanted to do some podcasting, and I found all these mics and there was nothing on them. And I was like, man, what do we do about that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got an idea. I'm going to be the Behringer podcastage. And that was, that
Yeah,
was that.
I
And
love
someone
it.
literally called me that. They said, like, hey, you're like the Behringer podcastage. I'm like, that is an absolute compliment to me.
Yeah, I mean that means
Like,
they get it, right? Like that's
yeah, yeah.
yeah. The SM7B is so
It's a great mic.
it's a the thing. I
Fantastic
had the
mic.
same feeling of like everyone has it. I don't want it. I actually didn't like it because when I was working at schools and stuff, I got a bunch because it's industry standard. I was like, you know what? I actually kind of don't like the way that this works or sounds. Turns out it was my fault for not setting things up properly. But eventually, I never had one, and I would kind of borrow one here or there when I needed to do comparisons. And then it got to a point where I was like, I need an SM7B because even if I don't want to use it, it's the question everyone has when I review a microphone. How does it sound compared to the SM7B? Review an interface. How does it work with the SM7B? So it's like, I kind of just need to have one to answer that question in videos. And I remember I got mine, and it was during the pandemic when I was teaching online, and so I was going to do a class that morning, which was fun because I got to use different mics every day, and the students were like, "Whoa, you're using a different thing today."
Yeah.
And I remember plugging in the SM7B, doing a
Thinking,
test, and
dang
I
it.
literally laughed out loud because I was like, "This sounds so good!" Like I hated how good it sounded. There was no handling noise. I was like, "Oh, this."
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. And then that was like probably my main mic for a really long time because it was just the reliable, I don't have to think about it. It's going to perform, it's going to come through. And I just remember like I wanted it to be bad. I'm not going to lie. Like part of
Me
me was
too.
like I want it to be just not good, and then I can finally go, "Hey, look, this one's not, you don't have to only get this one," which I still think there are a lot of people who get it who might be better suited by something else.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a really good mic, and I get it. I
Yeah.
100% get it, and I'm a huge fan of it. It's
I am too. And I didn't want to be. And I did the same thing. I posted on Twitter, I think I have owned an SM7B 14 times now. because I kept like I'm a scourer. I scour the
Yeah.
interwebs. I scour every site I know. I've got alerts set. So when an SM7B pops up for $200, I'm like, that is mine. And then, I package it with an interface, and that's how I keep my channel going. Is buy and sell and find deals.
Nice.
And
That's cool.
yeah, it's fun because the gearhead, the gear acquisition
Yeah,
syndrome
it
gets
satiates that.
satisfied. Yes. But yeah, I finally, after deciding to do some interface reviews, not of Julian Krause level, but of Behringer Julian Krause level, which he's fantastic too.
Yeah, it is.
I was like, I have to have it. I have to keep an SM7B if I'm going to keep doing these cheaper and oddball interface reviews, because people have to know if they power them, push them, whatever, because it's everybody's got to have one.
Yeah.
And on
no,
my
for sure.
14th one, I hooked it up to, I've got a Behringer UV1, which is like a channel strip audio interface with digital processing built in, all that good stuff. And I think me and Bronson were doing an episode of Obscure Hotline, and he's like, I'm just going to use the 7B. I was like, okay, I will too. I'll just plug it into the UV1.
I think I
I'll
remember
turn
that one.
I can't, it was one of the last couple, I think.
I think I remember you guys. I could be wrong, but you were saying like you were pointing out like we're both on the some 7Bs and like
Yeah, and like disgusted with ourselves, kind of that kind of. But I really do like it's a dynamic, and it's $400, and there's no mic activator. I have this problem where it's like, no one needs to spend $400 to do a podcast. You just don't. Like, if you want to and you love the mic, that's a different story. But if you think you have to, like you
that's
need
exactly.
this, and
like
you don't, you don't need it. In fact, any cheap handheld will do. My buddy Den that does the Married Without Children podcast, he's using I gave him a digital reference DRV 100. It's like on sale for $20 routinely. He sounds great on it, like absolutely great. But I plugged that SM7B in during that podcast, and I tweaked my processing a little bit, and I just stopped before we hit live, and I was cussing, dropping some bombs. And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "This mic sounds so good." Like, it just with processing and just a little bit of top end sparkle added to this neutral sound. I was like, this just sounds, damn it. It's just mad. I was like, the punk in me hates this. I hate that this thing sounds so good, but it does. It just does. But that doesn't mean that it's $400 good compared to.
Right. It's not $300 better than other mics necessarily.
No. And for that matter, you talking on that Lewitt, if you grabbed a Telefunken that was $3,000 and put there and talked side by side, and it's like $3,000 for this or $129 for this, to me, like, it's always going to be the 129. Like, if you can get this kind of sound on a budget, why in the heck would you spend thousands? Again,
the law of diminishing returns hits real quick with mics.
Very fast. And myself and I cannot convince myself to keep anything that's worth SM7B levels or more.
It's a good, that's a good limit though to kind of be there. I mean, I know Bandrew did his he bought his $7,000 Neumann, which I would love to try a mic like that, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't do it.
I couldn't either. Like I would like to talk into it to see if I think that it's could I own this and not put it on reverb?
I feel like I would use it and just tears would start forming because it'd be like the SM7D where it's like, I get it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I get it. I don't think I would get it. I really don't think if I spoke into that, because I had one of the videos and it's kind of the consensus out of my nice little circle I've formed. I had this Rode Classic. It was a tube microphone.
Okay.
And I found one the other day for $5.99, and I swear it sounds just as good as any mic I've ever heard, at least from watching videos. But I don't know. I feel like it's just that name. I know they use the best components. I know they use the best parts. I know that it's been used on 90% of Grammy award-winning albums, but I just can't see a single microphone being worth that.
No, you're paying for the name for sure for part of that.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's great. And I'm sure there are some albums that, are just better because of it. But if Billie Eilish can make a hit album with a AT 2020 and a Scarlett 2i2 or whatever,
yeah,
I mean, nobody's going to know she didn't use a Neumann on that record. And I feel like that's the same thing with us podcasters. No one's actually going to listen and be like, oh, yeah, that's an SM7B. That's totally an SM7B.
Yeah, unless they're weird, obsessive
like
people
us.
like us. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Unless they've got gear acquisition syndrome.
Yes.
But I don't know. I'll keep this SM7B. It has to stick around. It has to be the test
If you do mic
subject.
reviews, they just got to have one.
Yeah, it's kind of a rule, I think. But now I'm struggling with Loughton Audio. Sent me an LS208, which is an end address broadcast. Well, not broadcast. People hate when I say that word. End address condenser. And it's like $550. And I just stare at it and I'm like, am I terrible for owning this? Like, am I just off? Like, there's
You're not terrible for
there's hungry people out there, you know, and I've got this hanging from my boom arm. Am I terrible for this?
I mean, I sometimes feel that way with my MKH50 because it's a $1,200 microphone, and it doesn't sound $900 better than the Rode VideoMic NTG, but it has made my life so much easier and made I can't go back to anything else after using that as a boom mic.
I think that's a big difference. I think that's where money really does come into play. Not all the time, but like an out of camera shotgun microphone, like when you use that, I would think you're close miking with a good condenser.
It's a crazy mic.
So
I love
that's
one.
a little different to me. And if you've hit the goal, if this is your career, I think owning that kind of equipment makes perfect sense. Like if this ever becomes my career, I may be able to hold on to something like that.
That's
but
how
until
I
then,
justify it.
yeah.
I do have this though. I should show you this. I'm gonna
Okay.
try to grab it real quick. Wait, where did it go? Oh, it's right here. I don't own this. I'm just borrowing this because.
And I do get that, Johnny. It is a tool of the trade, and you worked hard for it. Totally get that.
That's true.
It's just hard sometimes. It's difficult to hold on to expensive things.
B&H has let me borrow this. I don't know if you watched Ted Lasso. I don't know if we've talked.
Oh
about
God,
this.
that is the best show I've ever watched in my life, at least in that genre, because I just feel like my heart turns to gold watching that show.
Yeah.
It is so well written and Shrinking. Oh my God.
I need to watch Shrinking. Need to watch Shrinking.
Shrinking is it's 98% as good as Ted Lasso.
Okay.
Which is pretty good.
Every time they show the announcers in Ted Lasso, they're talking into these weird mics.
Yes.
And I was like, what are those?
Yes.
It's a Coles. I don't even know I mean, there's a few different ones. It's a ribbon mic, and I had never seen a mic like this before. And B&H let me borrow it for a month. These are so cool because they sound great, but there's like absolutely the most insane wind protection, and then you put it right up against your mouth.
Yep.
And it
that way
blocks
the crowd
everything
noise
else
doesn't
out.
come in.
Yeah, and then but it still sounds, like a broadcast microphone. It's the weirdest looking microphone ever, and I love it. And it's this weird color, and it's also really tacky. Like it sticks to you.
Oh, so it's got that coating kind of?
It
Or?
kind of feels, I don't want to say unpleasant, but like almost. But I get it.
Like something you should not be holding.
Yeah, but I get it. You're outside, you're in the cold at some like, I don't know, like a snowing football game or something, and you can't be dropping your mic, and you can't.
And you don't want it to get freezing cold.
It's so cool, and I think it was like $800. This specific one. I'm really excited to make a video about this. I guess because you said the price, and I was like, well, this is $800, but it serves such a specific purpose for not for me. Like I do not need this, so B&H is gonna take it back in a month. But it is awesome, and I love just the weird, crazy, specialized stuff like that is really fun. But that's probably that and this are my most obscure mics right now.
Have you looked to see if there's a video on that Coles mic yet? Is there any out there?
I haven't looked. I'm sure that there are. But through the magic of YouTube, I posted a thing on Instagram when I got this. I was like, oh, like if you've ever seen Ted Lasso, like, look, it's the thing. I'm going to try it out. And somebody messaged me and they were like, I'm a soccer football announcer. I use that mic all the time. Here's a link to some broadcasts that I've done with it. I'm using it today, in fact. And I was like, whoa,
That's
that
awesome.
is so cool.
Yeah.
Which is like, we would have never connected otherwise because this is such a weirdly specific thing. And then my other super weird mic is this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which I think it's called Trash Talk or something.
I don't know what
Um,
they're called, but I've seen like Soviet Union versions of them on
yeah, it's
eBay.
a Christmas gift. It's just an old. It's actually an old like thing from a rotary phone that someone just put XLR onto, and it does not sound good, but it's so fun to like.
They usually don't. I've got this, which I've showed on this before, but it's the I think it's called a Bargle blog. I don't even know. I got it off Etsy, and
Okay.
it's a light switch, turns it on, and it's wrapped in like some. I mean, it's well done for what it is, but it's a speaker, and
Okay.
when you talk into it, it sounds like an old timey announcer mic. It's
Oh,
real crackly. Like if there was a nuclear holocaust coming, I could be like, everybody get in the bunker, and it would sound legit.
you might need that one day
I
soon.
might. Well, that's very possible. Yes, sadly.
But I had actually had one more question from you because you said you started playing guitar when you were 16.
Yeah,
This is a very random question, but I'm super curious.
I like
Were you
randomness.
ever on in the early like 2000s music message boards and forums?
Do you have an example? Because I'm trying to remember. Like I
So
was on IRC, which was like internet relay chat rooms.
there was guitar.com had a message board. And then the one I'm thinking of, which is not a dating site, is Harmony Central. Um,
I do remember Harmony Central.
Oh, because they had gear reviews, like
Yeah,
way per YouTube, it would just be walls of text gear reviews, and then they had a message board, and the message board was great, and that's where I like also learned about tons of music, connected with people who were into this weird stuff, and I was just like, if we had been playing guitar at the same time and kind of followed these threads, I was just wondering if we both happened to be like, if we had ever interacted like 20 years ago
it's
on some
possible
weird
because
forum.
Harmony Central brought back memories. Like I know I was on there.
Oh, I was on
And
there all the time.
I was definitely on there. Not as much as I was like the IRC and ICQ and all that
Yeah,
talking to random people, but yeah, I was definitely on Harmony Central. And
it's
God, now that makes me wish I could just travel back in time and see what all, because I was
I
on the
love.
internet a lot in the 90s, even though it was terrible. Like it was just so intriguing.
Yeah, it's crazy building a GeoCity site, like
Yeah. Yeah. Angel Fire. Yeah.
yeah.
It was all so good. I got my internet service provider taken away twice. Me and the guy who introduced me to all the punk and ska bands that we went and watched. We would take over those internet relay chat rooms and
Uh,
kick people out and change them and do all that stuff. And next thing I know, my stepdad was very aggravated at me and said, "We no longer have internet because apparently you were hacking." I was like, "I don't think I was hacking."
that's not quite what it was, but
Not
okay.
quite what it was, yeah. But I definitely got myself in some trouble with those. But
That's awesome. That was
yeah,
just my question. I was just wondering.
yeah, no, I Harmony Central, yes, and now, what they changed the one to? It used to be, it's a gear. It used to be gear sluts. Sorry for the
Oh yeah.
language. Uh, I don't know what they changed it to now, but I'm on those all the time. I'm constantly reading about, you
Yeah.
know, old microphones and this and that, and
Yeah, it's all kinds
those
of
are
good
cool
stuff.
sites. Yeah, I don't want to
Oh.
keep you, and
Oh
I
no, no.
think
I
we.
was sorry. I was looking over at there's so many names I recognize in the chat here. It's really
Oh
cool.
yeah, and that's what makes me happy too, because I know my little base of people that watch every video, which I appreciate through and through, which does lead me to another question, or actually a comment slash question. But like you just know, when there's gearheads and mic lovers and video lovers, like they're watching
Yeah.
a lot of the same channels.
Nobody watches just one video on something and leaves.
No, you would definitely burn yourself out really quick if you just watched one of mine or 20 of mine. Like please go watch something else before your whole life is nothing but that's what she said jokes. Like you need a little more exposure in your life than just that. And I know they get it, but what do you think? Like the percentage, something I've noticed, and me just kind of getting started, which I've been doing it for like 4 years, but
Yeah. I
the
feel like that's a while.
the slow rolling process of obscure microphones. Like I feel 10% of that subscriber number, which I think people obsess over that subscriber number way too much. But I feel like 10% are consistent watchers.
That's probably accurate. I mean, I think that's pretty normal. I don't know if that's like the stat that YouTube gives, but I'm always shocked at how how often someone will say like, I just found this channel, I just did this. And I'm like, who's watching the videos then? Like it's not the people who are, well, I mean, other than the ones who are here, of course.
Right.
It's not the people who have subscribed. It's a stream, but that's where you just never know. And that's Heather and I were talking about this yesterday on a stream where it's like
I
I've
remember
seen
that
people
because
break their
you said you did not like when, or not didn't like, but like when people were like, why don't you have more subscribers?
Oh yeah, that's the thing of yeah, because you hit a milestone. Like I can remember, you know, like 10,000 is the one that stands out as like this is an unreal number, and I just couldn't believe it. And then somebody's like, "I love your channel. It's so good. I can't believe you don't have more." Or it's not. I can't believe you don't have more. I can't believe you have so few subscribers. And there's of course Heather always reminds me they mean it in a good way. And I'm like, I know they
Right.
do. I know they do. But
It's just a weird statement sometimes.
yeah, it's like, you know, normally black shirts look terrible, but on you it looks good. I'm like, but is that I think I heard an interview where Albert Brooks called something like that a complisalt, like a compliment insult. And I was like, yeah, it's almost like a complisalt. Like your channel is amazing. I can't believe it sucks so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Such
But
fantastic work. I can't believe only this many people actually care.
yeah, and you're like, oh, that's not digging in at any insecurities that I have. So
Yeah. Well, it's like what Liberty Dude says. We never watch, we only comment. And that is evident by my watch time. Like they watched 1 minute of your video, but there's tons of
yeah,
comments.
and the comment is the question is something that is addressed later in the video. You're like, you should talk about blah blah blah, and you're like, well, if you got to minute 4, I'll talk about that for a while.
Yeah,
But
not to hate on the commenters, but that is problem number one in my opinion, is the people
yeah,
that are like, you didn't even do this, and like at minute 6.5 I did. Like
yeah.
I 100% did, I promise you. Like please just go back, and you're getting yourself in trouble, by the way.
Oh, I know. I said that. It's not an insult. I know it's not an insult, but it just. I guess it digs to security. Oh, I see. I saw. Know Your Joe was asking about the Roadcaster arm. Um,
Is that here?
yeah, in a previous video with Tom and Heather, you recommended a different support arm with spring support for the Roadcaster. Oh yeah, I switched to like a really long arm for it. Before that, I don't remember the brand. It was literally the $25 Amazon VESA mount. Like any of them will work. I don't forget what the brand even was on it. Some of my Rodecaster Pro 2 videos would have a link, but the cool thing with it, any VESA arm will work. So if you just go to Amazon, VESA mount, find one that's the price you like at the, it's not a computer display. It's not super heavy. It's not super delicate. It'll put on
Yeah.
anything. It'll work.
That's
Great.
basically what I use. It's a monitor arm that's just modified with a 5/8 threading.
Yeah.
But and I love it. I mean, I think it actually would have maybe worked for what you were trying to solve with. I don't know, what is that device that you did eventually find to make the Lewitt work?
From the comments in that video, this is the Audio Technica AT8459. I had made like my own version of this using like a bunch of adapters, and then someone was like, you should just get this thing. It's expensive. It's like $40, but it's super well built so it can hold the weight of anything. And then I honestly think a boom arm should just this should be the end of the boom arm. Like
Right.
that's how it should come. And that way you just position any mic any way that you want. But
It makes the most sense because I mean most of them are difficult, but the Vivo, this thing's up, down, left, right,
Yeah.
A B start kind of situation, and
that's how it should be.
because otherwise, how do you, I don't know, and some of those mics with the built-in cables, I've got one like an OC White Aculite or something up down at the house, and it's got the built-in cable, but just the adjustability of it, like if I have a microphone with a shock mount, or the cable's too tight, it won't stretch, or there's just not much you can do with some of those. So these are nice.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of little doohickeys like this. It's so solid. I was like, this is $40, but then I took it out of the package. I was like, yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, some things like that are 100% worth it.
Yeah, you'll never need to buy another one. So
no, you're one and done. That's like these Vivo boom arms, which I think Vivo is a big manufacturer of like the monitor arms, I believe.
Yeah, that's what my Rodecaster's on now, and it's built like a tank.
Yeah,
It's way more than the Rodecaster needs.
Not going anywhere unless you absolutely want it to.
Yeah.
But have you seen the boom arms now? Like, I know Amazon always puts light on the weirdest, newest, strangest stuff. You can find it on Amazon.
Yeah.
But now they've got, I don't, I get it to an extent, but the fact that you have to power a boom arm now, like the LED lit boom arms,
I have not seen this.
Toner has one, and
Of
it's a
course, of
beefy.
course they
Of course they do, yeah. It's a beefy looking boom arm, but it literally has LED lights all throughout the boom arm, even a
Okay.
Toner logo on the joint that is lit and changes color, and
Is
it
it
is.
USB powered?
I don't know. Like I reached out to Toner to ask if they'd send me one because I was like, I've just got to have one to put on the channel,
I
whether it's
kind of don't
ridiculous
hate
or
the
not.
idea, honestly. Like,
Yeah. Well, they
I'm not
blocked
too
me,
into the
so I'm not
glowing
getting one.
logo, but the LEDs, I have seen like these desk mats. There's some that have glowing like LEDs around the edges of them. And I know like everyone hates RGB lights and everyone hates exposed tube lights and stuff. And I'm like, you know
Not
what?
everyone.
I kind of
Gamers
like
and
it.
streamers love it.
Yeah, I think that's why other people hate it so much. But
Yeah.
um,
I like it to an extent. Like, I mean, I've got some purple behind me
it's
because
all about how
purple's
it's
my
done. Like,
jam.
it's how it's things can be done well and things can be done not well. But
Yeah.
I would not be against a boom arm that had LEDs in it. I did get the Rode NT USB Plus, their new one, and I was plugging in, playing with it. It sounded great, and then I had it in here, left, turned out all the lights, and needed to come back in and get something, and I saw it just glowing blue on the desk, and I was like,
Yeah.
wait, there's a light in there? I had no idea. It's like I like this microphone even more now.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes they're just really well done. I've got a little mono price just because it's on sale for $10. It's a little
yeah.
USB mic and it's really small and it's end address. It's really cool, but it's got 4 green LEDs in the head basket.
Oh,
It's,
nice.
it's just
Mono
neat.
price saved my life so much when I was a
Oh
teacher.
man.
Every cable adapter, headphone, like, oh, I don't know
And
what I
it's
would have done.
so cheap. I bought I bought like 4 tablet stands just because they were $7 a piece, and it's got a big
Yeah.
metal base and an articulating arm. And I was like, okay, one for the studio, one for my office at work, one for my secondary studio in the house, and one for my wife for cupcake, you know, recipes on a tablet and
Yeah,
stuff. And it's just,
mono price is awesome.
oh, they're fantastic. I mean, everything they've sent, their ribbon mic is awesome. Like,
I haven't tried that.
it's great, and sometimes it's discontinued now, which
Oh.
really sucks. But before it was discontinued last week, it was a active ribbon mic, and it literally sounds good. I have a video on it. It was $30.
That's
30
insane.
$30. Like the highest it ever was like 179, but it was $30 last week.
Jeez, I know I've been wanting to try some of their guitars.
Me
Um,
too, because I love cheap guitars too. My bass is a
Yeah.
Donner, and I love that freaking bass.
This is the most expensive instrument I own, but my other bass prior to this is an SX bass from Rondo Music. It was like $120. It's great. I have a weird SX. I don't even know what this guitar is. The shape is so weird over here. It is like another $100 guitar, but honestly, they're freaking good.
Yeah. The guitar that I owned the longest was a Hondo, which I
Oh,
think
nice.
was like a subsidiary of Gibson, maybe.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, it was like Epiphone or something.
Yes, yes. It was like the Clover Valley, which is the Dollar General brand. It was the Clover Valley Squire, basically, which
Oh,
I've
man.
never played a Squire. I will say that. Can't
But this
can't.
my first guitar over here is a Squire, and I'm sorry.
I know there's some decent
It's not.
ones.
It is not a fun guitar to
Oh,
play, even
okay.
after restoring.
Okay.
The neck is not good, and that is an example of like, okay, if that were the only guitar I ever used, I don't think I would have kept playing guitar because it just really doesn't feel good.
It's
And
just the
then
action is real
the
bad.
neck is like grippy. The even when it's set up well, it's just not fun to play. And I have refinished it. I have put it. It probably is the most expensive electronics of any guitar I have because it's like it's got all Seymour Duncan pickups and like custom everything in it, and it sounds awesome.
Still no dice.
Still just not fun to play. Whereas anything else, but and I guess to totally contradict my point, my American P bass here, as soon as I took it out of the box, it was like the SM7B. I was like, this doesn't feel like anything else I have.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I owned a Paul Reed Smith one time, and I
Okay.
was like, I'm never selling this. I will never give this up. I went, what just happened?
Oh, is that me?
I
I
don't
went,
know.
sorry. I pushed a button with my foot. I got tangled up in a cord and I have my foot pedal here.
Well, that was still kind of cool. What did that do? That brought
What
up all
is
the
that?
chat. Oh, cool.
This is my screen share from my stream. Yeah, so I'm still down here. Hello. And then there's the chat.
Nice. I like that can be done. I like this software. It's working out okay.
Oh, it's been great. So
Not
I
bad
don't
at
know.
all.
It seems like everyone's seeing everything, but yeah, on the guest end, it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody. I was sorry to anybody I didn't throw a comment out there. I tried to put as many of them up on the screen as possible, but when you get a conversation going, sometimes it is hard to do.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of them.
Oh, why
Yeah.
the 3 segment arm? The 3 segment arm, I liked it just because since I need to have the Roadcaster in frame sometimes, it makes it easier to do that because it's so long. And since I don't have a permanent overhead setup, if I want to do like a video on the Roadcaster, it makes it easy to position where I can have a camera kind of zoomed in on it and do things in real time. So it just gave a little more versatility because otherwise it was sort of like stuck back over there behind my monitor. And wasn't super convenient. But
Yeah.
that's all.
I get very frustrated a lot with equipment like that. Like I'll think I have everything I need. I'll think I have it set up perfectly. And then one day I'll go to do something and it just doesn't do it quite right.
Mm-hmm.
And that was I think that was actually the first Rodecaster Pro. I I don't remember what I did. It didn't play nice with a few certain mics. And I was like, I can't have that,
No.
like certain mics that had which I guess that's a testament of its quality, but they were lesser quality metal and they would just buzz, but then I'd plug it into a cheap interface and it wouldn't. It's like cheap likes cheap and expensive doesn't like cheap apparently. So no more Rodecaster Pro for me.
That's funny.
Now it's all Comica.
Oh there was an NDA comment. I saw Liberty Dude. I guess they're under NDA about talking under NDA. I talk about NDAs.
I guess they are under NDA
Oh
about
wait, I
talking
see it.
about being under an NDA.
He had asked when under unreleased product NDA, how difficult do you find it to keep quiet when you see your community discussing the product? I haven't been under that many NDAs personally. I don't know about you.
I have not.
Okay.
Bronson, on the other hand, lots of NDAs.
Yeah. Oh, what is happening here? My monitors are like stuck. I've been under some, but I tend to just I'd rather just like use something when it's out for the most part.
There it is.
It is funny though, because sometimes I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I have friends who are under NDAs, and maybe they don't NDA too well, and they let me know about things, and then I see things on rumor sites, and I'm like, oh, that's not. I know for a fact that that's not true, but I
Yeah.
can't say anything, and that's kind of funny. The usually it doesn't matter, and I just try to remember not to say anything about something. The toughest part was the Rodecaster Pro 2 because it like they pushed back the release date a little bit, and so the NDA period was longer than I expected it to be. And obviously, the Rodecaster is very popular, and so people like, hey, I'm gonna buy a Rodecaster. Should I do this? And I really wanted to tell them, and this is where I was having like a
Yeah.
moral dilemma of like, don't buy it because
Yeah.
once it got where it was in like a return window, I was comfortable with that. But what I started doing was I'm not talking about the Rodecaster because I don't want to like make a video about it and then people are gonna want it. So I just stopped talking about it, and I think I don't remember what I did. I didn't take down any videos, but I remember not doing anything to promote like older Rodecaster
Yeah.
videos.
Like, hey, I think I heard there's a rumor it's going on sale next month. Maybe you just want to
Yeah,
hold off.
because people would always ask, "Is there a new one?" And I would just say like, which is what I would say if I didn't know what I know. Like, it is 4 years old, and there's a lot of competition now. It would make sense for them to release an updated one. That's what I thought before I knew, but and that I didn't like. That was where I was like, you know what, this kind of sucks because, in a way, like I want to serve the people that are watching the channel, and me having this knowledge is kind of getting in the way of me doing that the best that I could. And I don't know that I'd really want to be under NDAs anymore for that reason. I'd rather just like And some companies know that, and they're like, oh, if we'll send you stuff, but it'll be like the third or fourth round, like after the thing comes out. I'm like, that's fine. I don't. You don't have to send me anything, but I don't need it right away. I'm
Yeah.
totally cool.
I've yet to touch a Rodecaster Pro 2. I just, yeah.
I
Once I
love
made the
mine.
decision, I
Some
think I would
people
love it
hate
too.
theirs, but I
Really?
love mine. There's
Why?
maybe it's just because of me, but there's been a lot of weird. To be fair, Rode promised the world with the Rodecaster Pro 2, and I think what they didn't clarify was it can do all these great things with future firmware updates.
Oh,
And so it came out, and people are like, "What about this? What about that? What about this?" And it's like, yeah, maybe you guys kind of like you made it
oh,
like
yeah.
episode one where nothing was going to live up to the expectations of the Phantom Menace, and now
Ugh.
people were a little disappointed. But I love mine. It's been great, and then I don't know, I use it every day.
Yeah. I love the first one. I'm just still waiting on, like, the pandemic killed off my multi-person podcast because there used to be 3, sometimes 4 of us up here
Yeah,
doing a fantasy football podcast in the beginning of all my audio journeys. And once the pandemic kind of killed that off, I was like, I don't need 4 channels, and I'm
right.
sitting on, $600 for one person, and it would have been smart to just keep it. But it really, I am very confused. Like, and I've said this before, I'm a broken record, but there's so many companies that are behind Rode right now. Like Rode is just
Yeah,
so far ahead of the game when it comes to podcasting, and
yeah,
that those machines are just way ahead of the game. And it confuses me that no one's A, caught up, and B, like catered to smaller groups of people. Like, why don't we have a smaller unit that does the things that does with maybe 2 channels, maybe 3 channels, maybe 1 channel? Like,
yeah.
I
That's
that's
the question. I get that constantly of like, do you know if Rode's ever gonna make a Rodecaster Mini? I've had people even send me mock-ups where like it could look
yeah,
something like this. I'm like, I don't. Yeah, sure, send it
it's a
to them. I
great
can't do it.
idea.
Um, and I know there's like the P4, which is sort of smaller, but it doesn't have the ergonomics, and I think that's what people want. Like if you took the Rodecaster and just sliced a chunk off of it, where it's like a little bit smaller, but you still have nice faders, you still have a nice
Yeah,
interface.
the
It's
screen the
easy to
screen at the
use.
top.
Yeah, but it just doesn't. You don't need 9 channels or
Right.
8 sound pads and stuff. I
Yeah.
think
And
there's
and most podcasters do it remotely. Like most of the shows I'm familiar with, like, are doing it from different locations. And if there was a Rodecaster Mini, that'd be amazing. That would
yeah.
sell like crazy. And they could
Oh yeah.
probably charge half of what the 4 channel. I mean, it could be $300 and people would buy it. They'd eat it
Oh
up.
yeah, that'd be a good price, and then it would also like it would really decimate the sales of all the like competing products.
Yeah, well, yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially the ones that are trying to be that, but and there's a lot of them that are trying to be that and are doing the smaller versions, but they don't have hardware recording. It's all still, you have to record
Yeah,
to a
they're really cool
DAW or
interfaces, but
yeah. And yeah, I want that in a compact form for 1 to 2 people, and I would be absolutely thrilled. Know Your Joe says, "How do y'all schedule future content?" I think
do
we
you
do it the same way, judging from an episode of one of your productions that I heard, but I'll let
do
you
you
answer
schedule your
first.
stuff?
I don't necessarily schedule, but I have a vault. Like I make
Mm.
sure I have videos in case I need a break or I get burnt out. I've got backups. Like I've usually got 3 to 5 videos
Oh
just
dang.
ready to put out. But my recording and production value is different. I'm much less concerned about the overall look because I can't get myself into cameras. Like I was telling Gil on the first Creative
Yeah,
Connection thing I did, I can't get into it. It's too much. It makes my
that's
head
not for
hurt a little bit.
everybody. Like yeah, you
Right.
don't have to.
Yeah, I wish I could because it's like as a gearhead and lover of technology, like it would make perfect sense that I would enjoy that, but I just can't get
Yeah.
myself into it. So I do have, videos ready to go at all times, but I don't necessarily schedule them. Usually I'm like I get the same kind of anxiety with YouTube videos as I do with my phone. Like if my phone's on 20%, you get that phone anxiety, like, ooh, 20%, that's not going to work. Got to plug that in. I'll
Hmm.
see a video's been out for like 2 to 3 days. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't released anything in 2 to 3 days. I've got to do something. Like something's
Send
got to
it.
come out.
Yeah. Yeah, that I think that works. You're one of the only other people I've met who does have stuff ready to go.
I
At least
thought that
that's
you did.
I do, yeah. I do schedule mine. I try to have 2 to 3 ready um, to go, and sometimes I switch the order, but they are scheduled. And I have this super it's the weirdest thought, but I'm like, if I die, at least there'll be 3 more weeks. Like,
Do you have an in memoriam video ready? Is
yeah,
it
in
like
case of
if you're
emergency.
like Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man type thing? Like if you're watching this, I'm dead.
Yeah, no, because the thing that freaks me out is I spend so much time making a video, and then when it's just sitting there unlisted, I'm like, no one's ever going to get to see this. If it's scheduled, then I know, like, even if something goes wrong and I can't get near a computer or an internet, like, it's gonna happen and it's gonna go out. And there's something about like knowing that it will be out that makes me feel better, that I didn't just like spend all my time on something that may or may not even be ever seen see the light of day. But that's been cool. I've been scheduling stuff since 2019, and it really helps with the stress and kind of anxiety of constantly making stuff.
I don't know how you couldn't, because I would be, because I have had those periods of like, I don't want to record anything. I don't
Mhm.
want to do I don't want to do any of this right now. And it's not because I've lost any love for it. It's like I just like a job, I need a vacation. I need a
Yeah.
moment to just get my mind off that and into something else, just if even temporarily. And I know a lot of people that don't have stuff ready. And Bronson, I'll call you out, dude. Bronson has nothing. He has nothing ready at all. He's like, man, I haven't put out a video in like 7 weeks, and I'm only halfway done with this one. What am I going to do? It's like, make more videos and have them ready. And if you have to sacrifice some of the fancy stuff, you gotta sacrifice some of it sometimes. It's
Yeah, I
okay.
mean, I would
People still
say
watch.
most of the people I know, I think they kind of publish the video when it's done. Like they're done editing, export, upload, and that's when the video comes out, unless it's like a brand deal that has to go out on a certain day or something. But and that would just scare me. I just can't work that way.
Yeah, I'd have anxiety about that.
Yeah.
Big time.
I panicked yesterday because yesterday was Thursday, and for some reason I woke up thinking it was Wednesday, and I was like, "Oh wow, this week is going by. There's so much time left in the week. I have a whole day before a video comes out." And then like I'm checking everything in the morning, and I panicked because I was like, "Oh my god, a video was accidentally released or something too early." And I was like, "Wait, no, it's Thursday. The system is working. It's okay."
Yes. How do you juggle what you do and what you do with Heather? Because that's I feel like I put out a lot. I feel like I maybe lose some subscribers from putting out too much. Like, God bless it, this guy's annoying the hell out
You're
of me. Like,
busy.
unsubscribe.
Like, if you make a lot of things, I mean, Heather currently has 4 channels going.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. And so mostly like the stuff I do my thing, she has her channels, and then we do a few things that overlap, but it's very little effort. I don't say effort on my part, like not that I'm not trying or being aware of it, but she put out a vlog the other day and she's recording one now. She's the one filming, editing. It goes on her channel. I'm in it sometimes, or I hold the camera for her sometimes, but that's pretty minimal in terms of time commitment and stress and effort. And we do our couples table live stream every week, which we took a break from for like 6 months just because we needed a break. And then we got to a point where we really missed it and wanted to do more. And we just kind of have fun working on something together. And so we look forward to it. We just have we just have a schedule. And I guess I'm very like kind of neurotic and like having schedules, and she has ADHD and needs a schedule to function. So it kind of works.
Yeah.
In 2 different ways, it works well for both of us.
I feel like, judging from the outside looking in, I feel like you guys get along extremely well. But even if you do, like, is the couples table, it's got to be kind of therapeutic, right?
Yeah, it is a cool it is a cool chance to like sit down and dig into, like work related topics. And it's not just our echo chamber because the live chat is there, and so other people can jump in and maybe kind of shift your perspective or even confirm what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And that's pretty fun. Like that's a really enjoyable thing. And Heather's there's so many times where we're just talking about something. She's like, "This should have been a podcast. We should have been recording this."
Well, I mean, technically you could do what I do, and with the creator connection stuff, I download the video from YouTube and then I just convert it to MP3 and just let it roll.
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
you could. Why not?
no, for 100%, that's what you should do. And there
Because
have been
I would
times
love to listen to your table talks without the video part, which I can, I guess. But I mean, I don't know, just the
I
whole
mean, that's
podcast thing. It
we
feels
should be
good.
the most recent batch. Somebody has been forgetting to upload the audio only ones. So there's probably like 3 at this point that I kind of need to upload and schedule, and I kind of forgot.
So you
And
guys do the audio only for
we do,
those?
yeah. So you
Oh,
can
okay.
go, you can
Okay.
find the couples table wherever you get your podcast. It's the
Oh,
audio
freak.
version.
Oh, here I go.
There you go.
Adding
There
it
is
to
an
the
audio only
playlist now.
version.
Then
And maybe it's in YouTube Music now with their new like podcasting stuff too. I'm not sure.
really, really curious where that's going. I'm not seeing it yet. I'm not understanding it quite yet.
Me either. But I am very curious, and it sounds potentially promising.
Yeah. Well, I'm a YouTube Music user. Like, my whole
Yeah.
everything is that. So I would love to not just get my music there. I would love, like, Google Podcasts is great, but there's no widget. There's no, sometimes it forgets where I left off. So I would love if that was integrated into YouTube Music, which I know is the plan. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
now, Liberty Dude, I was just giving Audio Hotline crap because that's what I do with Bronson. He knows that. Know Your Joe said, how do y'all, which is straight from my area, determine how much to charge for sponsors or brand deals? Not
that
deals
is-
like pickles, but deals. That still sounded like pickles.
That's a tough one because I don't know how. For me, I guess I can only speak for myself, and I don't know. I mean, maybe your thing is different. Obviously, I guess for me, I don't want to do sponsored content, and so in general, I don't want to do it. So I price it high enough that if I'm doing it, it's worth it to. It
Makes sense.
Like, yeah, they have to like pay the price for me not wanting to do it. Is kind of that, and recognizing, I guess, the bigger side, maybe the better creative answer or creator based answer is sometimes companies will want to look at your subscriber number or your view count and they'll price you based on that, forgetting that you're making something that lives kind of forever, and no other platform works like YouTube where it will serve up a 3-year-old video today. And they're not just paying for this week. Like that's that ad read, that integration, whatever it is, it's going to be there for a really long time. And so I set my price rates at a level where it is worth it to me to do, and it doesn't make me feel like, oh, but I should be doing something else or whatever. So it's worth it for me to do. And if they say no, then I'm relieved because I don't have to do it.
Right. So basically, Tom's like, what's in it for me?
Well, I mean, that's what even on my website, it says right there, I prefer not to do sponsored content, because even when there's a brand that you love and everything goes great, there's still at least for me, I am aware somebody's paying this. I want it to do well. I don't want them to be like, man, you suck and you're terrible at this. And that's a lot of pressure, even if I'm just putting it on myself. There's still the communication. There's still, even if they don't review anything beforehand, even if they don't, have any control over what you're making, it's almost a little bit of a client freelancy vibe of, okay, well, what are the terms? What are this? Are we on the same page? It's a lot more complex than just me going, I want to make a video about this weird mic I saw on Ted Lasso. That's way easier.
There's the aspect too, which I've heard you say. Obviously, I watch way too much Tom Buck, but I can't remember exactly what video it was, but you had the one, it was sponsored and you just felt terrible because it wasn't doing well.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I haven't had many sponsored videos. I've had a few, and I'm kind of with you. I don't like doing them because I feel like it changes my outlook of doing the video from a true review to a demo. Like I consider it a demo. Like if somebody, pays for me to do a video, I'm like, okay, this has got to be a demo. I can't give too much opinion on it. I can say what I think it would work good for, and what it wouldn't be great for, but also finding a way to like, okay, this is clearly an instrument mic. Probably not good on voice, but that's not what they intended it for anyways. A demo, and just not strongly opinionated, but at the same time, not pumping sunshine up everyone about it. because you are getting paid. And I did one for Sterling, and it
Mm,
was like their P10, P20, and P30. I felt awful because that video still sucks. It's not doing anything. Like the views are terrible. I haven't heard from them since. I don't blame them. They said they were
right.
happy with it, but they can't be happy with the views. And I felt bad, and I was like, I was really excited about doing my, first sponsored
Hmm.
paid contract, that whole kind of thing, and now I just don't ever want to do it again. Which I will, I'm sure,
Yeah, I'm always.
if
I mean, I'm
somebody
appreciative to. It's a cool position to be in to even have the
very yeah
opportunity to do it. And what I think I try to do is not do a lot of them, and then do them when it makes sense. Like the Sennheiser one we talked about, being able to do something where it's not just this video is sponsored by, but there's something kind of cool with it. Other people are getting this. It's a little different, and it actually makes me excited to talk about the sponsored part of it. I would like to find more ways to do that kind of stuff.
yeah
And I think that's a good win-win, because even that video was sponsored by Sennheiser. It was about the profile. It honestly wasn't any different than the review would have been, other than I didn't do direct comparisons, because the one thing they asked, they were like, "This is the show, like the premiere video for this mic. Please don't use other companies' mics in the video." And they were like, "Do that later, like make your own other video or whatever." But this video, like, don't have our new mic with 50 other microphones, which makes sense. And
yeah
that is something I probably would have done in a review. And I just ended up making that video later. But otherwise, it was the same. Like, it was the same as it would have been unsponsored. But the fact that it's sponsored, even though I know it didn't change the opinion. I only made the video because I actually did really like the microphone. But people watching don't know that. And
right
they're gonna see this is sponsored. This is a home shopping network at this point, and I don't want that vibe. Like, I don't want to be the home shopping network.
no and that's me too. I don't, technically anything I put out with an Amazon affiliate link or whatever, like if I wanted to be super shady, I could just pump it up. But
Yeah,
there are a lot of times I put that link in there, and somewhere in the video, I'm like, I just can't recommend doing this. Just not a good idea.
yeah,
Luckily for us, in my opinion, right now, is gear, especially recording, and video gear is better than ever,
so
and
good.
it's so
So
good, and a lot of
good.
it's cheaper than ever. Like I've got so many crap USB mics that I just can't unload, that if I only had that to make a podcast with, I would still do it because it's fine.
Yeah,
It's really fine. So the only thing that ever really trips me up is like, don't put out a product without latency free monitoring. Don't put out a product without a headphone jack. Like, if there's one thing that I will never hammer anyone on, is like, just make sure it has that. If
yeah.
it doesn't have that, I know there's workarounds, but they're not fun.
No,
So like, if you put that out, and I've emailed back plenty of companies, but like, this mic's priced really well, and it's sounds good, and I just want to let you know before I release it, like, the fact that it doesn't have latency free monitoring is a massive oversight. And luckily for me, every single company, which there's been like 5, has been like, we're okay with that. That's fine. We're not going to be upset that you say that. And I try to give everyone a heads up. Like,
yeah,
if I do have a major complaint, one company in particular, I was like, you can't sell this. You cannot sell this device, and I
yeah.
cannot. If you want me to put this video out, I will. But it's completely saying don't buy this.
I've
And
definitely sent stuff back where I'm like, I just
yeah,
can't even. This
yeah,
doesn't work for me.
yes, yeah, and they were like, thank you for your feedback. We'll fix this and we'll put it out. And you know what? Those freaking they put it out. It's on Amazon. It's got 1-star reviews, and I'm like, why didn't you just listen? Like, I know I'm not an expert. I don't. You
Yeah,
don't need to be an expert to know that when you turn phantom power on and it just buzzes and doesn't come through clearly, like, you can't sell that. You
yeah.
just can't sell that.
People aren't gonna like that.
People aren't going to like that. Enrique, who's watched my channel for a long time, thanks, Enrique. And a lot of you have too. I'm sorry. I would love to compliment everyone. It's just hard. Question for both of you. Do you perceive there is a difference in the audience other than just size for bigger versus smaller channels? And what are the differences? Take it away, TBLCT240.
I mean, I can only speak for myself, I guess. Because other than size, bigger audience. I think a thing with YouTube when it starts pushing, not that my channel's like the biggest on YouTube, it's bigger than I ever thought it could possibly get.
It's a fantastic size. That's what she said.
Wow.
Hey,
I walked right into that one.
Good enough.
It's pretty nuts for me to even think about that. Yeah, but there are also channels that are significantly larger, so I have a feeling they have different perspectives on this. What I've noticed is that when YouTube pushes your stuff out to a larger audience, you definitely do lose the tight knitness of it, and when you have a small channel, it's
Like an intimate small venue to watch a concert in.
exactly. There's a total difference between that versus like Madison Square Garden.
Right.
And, you know, the people who are going to the 300 seat venue, everybody bought their ticket to be there that night for some reason. Madison Square Garden, a lot of people did, but some people are also like, my friend had a free ticket. I don't even know why I'm here.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I want it on the radio, whatever. And that's kind of the same thing. Like, there are people who just don't, you know, they show up and they're like, your bright colors are obnoxious. The stupid wordplay is dumb. Like, you're like, and I'm like, this is, you're not wrong, but like, this is kind of what the channel is. So I don't know
Yeah.
what to tell you.
Well, and it's you, you know, it's
Yes.
like if you don't like me, you don't have to stay. You don't have to hang out. And you know,
Yeah.
that's me. I make crude, ridiculous, gross jokes, and I've had multiple people be like, you know, I was with you until this. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's not going away, because if I make it go away, I'm compromising what I'm out to do. And it's like, if I'm going to find my circle of people, I have to be myself. If I
Yeah,
be anything
exactly.
other than that, and I just try to pump out reviews with nothing but information and graphs and stuff I don't want to do, then it's not me. Then I'm like every other single person doing this on YouTube, and I do not want that. And if you don't want that, you don't have to.
Yeah. But there's plenty of people who do that super well. And
Yes, and I watch a lot of them, and I
yeah,
want that information only sometimes without any fluff, and then sometimes I want some fluff.
right. Riffs, wait, yeah, riffs, beards, and gear.
Riffs, beards, and gear. Fluff, yes.
Oh, man.
Me, I don't know. That question, the only thing it really makes me think of, because I don't have the experience of like large channel, you know, thing. My first podcast got pretty large. I was able to like speak at some expos and
That's awesome.
conferences and stuff. Yeah, it was a great time. I wish that I still liked football, but for some reason I just completely fell out of love with sports in general. I just don't care anymore. I don't have the time for it. But when I was doing that and the audience was pretty big and it was going really well, I felt like a jerk because I could not respond to everybody that reached out, and I could
Yeah.
not discuss things with people, and I couldn't help people. So I fear that, you know, if this channel ever got too large, like I fear the day that I can't respond to every comment.
That's
and
true.
I will I'll probably have to get over it if it happens, but I'll be upset for a minute that I'll miss comments, because I absolutely hate missing comments. I hate like finding one that was hiding for a year, and I'm like, man, I never responded to that person. They had a
Yeah.
legitimate inquiry, a legitimate request, or a legitimate question. It's like I feel like it's not your fault, because the algorithm doesn't show you everything, but you still feel like crap.
Yeah,
you
and it's
know?
like a paragraph like, "Hey, I love your channel. Thanks for this video.
Yeah,
Question about what?" I'm like, "Oh,
yeah.
no."
Well, like Lewitt reaching out to you, like that
Yeah,
happens. You know, when your inbox is full of stuff, that
yeah.
happens.
I feel such guilt and anxiety every time I open my email. I'm just like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. I mean, you
Yeah,
know, you're only one person, and you don't want the 10 working for you.
I don't
And,
want the team, so
you
it's.
know, and if you have the 10 working for you, one of them's going to open an email that gets you hacked and Linus Tech tipped, you
Oh
know.
my god. Yeah.
That poor
Oh
guy.
boy.
Yeah. I am glad that YouTube is able to fix that stuff pretty quickly, because I
They,
watch Linus Tech Tips and I enjoy the heck out of it. And I was like, oh man, what am I going to do if this is gone for weeks? You know,
I
because
know. I'm
it's
still
just one
working
of
my
my
way through their
things.
like 4-hour podcast where they break down the whole like minute by minute of what happened that day and those couple of days, and it's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really scary. I don't think I have to worry about it yet, but there is still a worry. Like,
I've seen it happen to like channels of every size.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
bums me out when something in my feed, like in my subscription box, is like, I know I'm not subscribed to Tesla, live streaming crypto, whatever. What channel was this? And oh, so sad.
Oh, I missed this one. MEI Studios, which has been on the Creator Connection thing. Do you have situations where the company that sends you products expects? Oh, okay, that is different. I read it wrong the first time. One time I had a company say, "We're sending you this, and you need to send it back."
Yeah, I usually don't accept that, which isn't because I'm like I want to keep it. It's because a lot of times they don't want to cover the shipping, I have found, and I'm like, I'm not going to
Yeah,
ship this to China because it's going to cost me $200 or
yeah,
something crazy. And so if they want to return shipping, but in general, I have found the companies that I choose to partner with don't ask for stuff back because I think they kind of know the value of even, I don't know. Lewitt sent me this. I don't have to make a video about it. How many times have I talked about the 440 at this point?
Oh,
A lot.
enough that they got their money's worth from sending you
Yeah.
one.
And I'm going to make a video about it, and it's going to be in my collection, and it's going to appear in future things. And I feel like companies are savvy enough to go like, it costs us virtually nothing to send this guy this one thing, and even if he doesn't make the dedicated video for it, it's going to be in the background. It's going to be in comparisons. It's like, and I think that's that I had a friend kind of really dig into I think they were digging into Sony. They were digging into a camera company or lens company about this because when they came out with new lenses, they would send them all to creators for 2 weeks and then send them back. And he's like, nobody can utilize everything a camera lens can do in 2 weeks, and you guys are missing out on people really bringing this into their workflow and making it indispensable. And it will be in every what's in my camera bag video. It's going to be in every studio tour video. It's going to be on the shelf. So when they need to do something for a project, they remember they have it. But you send it to them for 2 weeks, they send it back and they will forget about it.
Yeah,
It's, I kind of agree with that. But I mean, ultimately, in an ideal world, I would honestly love to just buy all the stuff myself
me
that I
too.
want to do because then there's no
Yeah,
issue and
you
no
can
one can
say
say
what you
anything.
want, and it doesn't mean you want to trash stuff. It's just
There's no
I
pressure.
yeah, there's no pressure, and I've admittedly caught myself like watching back a video because that's my one narcissistic quality, I guess, is quality control. I'm like, okay, I got to watch this to make sure it's to
Yeah,
feel
of
what the
course.
viewer feels or whatever, and I'll be like, maybe I was a little too happy about that feature, which I watch now, and I'm like, it's not that great. It's
Yeah, that's
maybe I was a
it's
little too sunshiny about that, but I'm like, oh, well, I also live in the moment, so I'm just gonna have
yeah,
to
I
accept
was
that.
excited about it. That's I mean a cool middle ground, which I've been able to do this. Like I mentioned, B&H, they're getting their money's worth.
Yeah,
B&H and Sweetwater was really cool about this too. Is just
Sweetwater's fantastic.
loaning out gear where it's like because I don't even this is a very privileged place to be in, but I don't like really want more gear unless it's something I'm super interested in. But like, I don't need another studio light. I don't need like, unless there's something I actually want. I kind of don't want stuff taking up space. And the weird thing when you start a channel is people will eventually hit a point where they actually like you talking about stuff. And you're like, oh, I just won't cover everything. But then they're like, no, I want to know what you think about this. And a good middle ground is to find a good retailer that will just let you borrow stuff for like a month. So it's enough time to use it, enough time to experiment with it, but they're not the manufacturer, so you don't feel obligated to be sunshiny about it.
Right.
And you're not spending any money on it, and then you send it back to them when you're done. And that's been great. Like that's a huge I think that's a perfect middle ground for that kind of stuff where it's like I would never spend the money on this, but I am curious about it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That is something that I hope to eventually do at some point, because that does solve a lot of little issues. Like some gear I hate sending back, but some of it, like I look across my studio and I've got this wraparound desk thing and it's just full. It is full, and most of it I've already got recorded, and it's just like it gives me anxiety sometimes. I'm like, I love gear, I love all this stuff, but I'm sick of looking at some of it. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah, that's a
because you
very
can't.
real thing that can happen.
Yeah, and you can't just I sell most of everything because I don't
Yeah,
have the space.
try to make sure everything is used. So if I'm not using it, like it gets
Somebody's got to
sent
get enjoyment
somewhere
out
or
of it.
somehow it gets used.
Yeah. And Johnny said, do you both take suggestions from your audience on possible content to make?
I do. Do you?
I do. I
Yeah.
got a someone sent me an email uh 3 days ago and said this I think you'd really like this CAD E90 supercardioid handheld dynamic. It's really clear, nice, and it's been my favorite for a long time. And I know that they're a viewer and I've seen their name multiple times. I was like, I'll buy it right now.
Yeah.
I'll get it in right now because that's what you do. People spend their time to watch, and if you can do that for them and showcase something that they think highly of, yeah, you got to go for it sometimes. And
I agree
luckily,
100%.
you can find that stuff fairly cheap. I buy more mics than I would like to, but I want people to, I want people to see what they want to see.
Yeah.
So,
And if you get the same question a couple times, you're like, maybe this is something that
yeah,
is worth exploring.
yep. Few more questions. Know Your Joe says, how difficult is it today to reach the YouTube partner program? That's a Heather and Tom question right there.
Yeah.
Any general ideas to how long it takes? I will just reel off. It took me almost 2 years.
Let me see. It took me, yeah, just over a year, I think.
I think it
But I
was
didn't
like a
even do
year and
anything
10 months.
because once you first get into it, or I guess this was years ago, so it could be different. But once I first got into it, it's like, oh, cool, I'm in the partner program. If I were to max out every level of ad or whatever, it's like I would make $80. I'm like, oh, this is maybe I should wait until this grows. So just because you're in the program doesn't mean that like it's easy street now.
Oh God, no. No.
I don't know. I don't know how long it would take. I think it's so different for everybody. Some
I
people
think
could
it
do
is
it in a
too.
month. Some people never do it.
Yeah, and you've
Um,
got different niches. Like,
yeah.
in my experience, like the audio gear one is I think it takes longer than most.
Yeah. And I
Uh,
don't think I think there are some niches too because people will be like when my channel hit 100,000, a bunch of people were like next stop 1 million, and I was like that's never
yeah.
it's not even me being like oh no it's this
It just
isn't a niche where that happens.
no. No, there's like
And that's
if
fine.
you extrapolate the numbers, and like I live in a town, it's a small town, like maybe 8 to 12,000. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know like two people that give a crap about audio gear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you extrapolate that to it's just not happening. And
Yeah.
not everyone can be Mr. Beast. It just doesn't happen
Or
like
would
that.
want to
So
be. But I remember it was like when Netflix was panicking last year because they were losing subscribers, and it's like I think you've maxed out the number of people on Earth that want Netflix.
right, there's only one way to go.
Yeah, you know, but there's no more people to get Netflix at
No.
this point, and that's fine, and that just happens. So I think being aware of that is important, and not hinging your measure of success on numbers that you can't control is
Yes.
probably important.
Yeah. Like much like what you have talked about, the goal for me is to, one day maybe be lucky enough to just do this and not
Yeah.
do the 9 to 5. And if that ever happens, like I don't need more than what I need. I just, when you get to a certain stage of your life, which in my opinion is 35, when you hit 35 and all your priorities become super clear, and it's like, I do not want to work, I want to work for me. I want to
Yep.
do what I want to do and I want to enjoy it. And I want to find a way to get a platform that's decent enough to be able to do things that are good, like to do, not line the pockets of a company. God, I sound like such an anarchist, but
No,
just,
you're
I want to
totally
do
right.
good stuff. I want to do good stuff that comes from me, not every once in a while your company lets you go out and help someone. Like, no, not when they choose. I want to do this stuff when I choose. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree, 100%.
yeah. And if you, and just as a little side note, like anybody out there that's asking these questions about becoming monetizable and all that stuff, like, don't worry about all that. Just, if you've got something you enjoy doing and you think that someone could get value out of it, just start. Like,
Yep.
just do it. Use your phone, grab a cheap USB mic if you want the audio to be solid too. Like, just do it. Just have at it. See where it goes, and don't be frustrated when it takes a while, because it does take a while.
Absolutely.
But you'll find that it's pretty rewarding pretty quick. I mean, not trying to pump you up, we're not celebrities or anything like that, but you've got a very good channel with a very strong following, and it is, it's my pleasure to be able to have a conversation with someone that I get value from, that is also in part of that circle.
Yeah, I
And
mean
I'm telling
that's
you, man,
the mutual feeling.
yeah,
It's
it's so rewarding. Like I don't make the money to do this on my own, but if I never get there, it doesn't matter, because there's already a bunch of rewards that's came out of this, and it's just do it, just freaking
Mhm.
do it, do the Shia LaBeouf thing, and just do it, just do
Yeah.
it. It's extremely rewarding. I mean,
He's right.
that's yeah. Anyone have anything else so I can let Tom go watch some Ted Lasso?
I
Who
need to
doesn't
watch.
want to
I
be?
actually do have an episode to catch up on. Plus, it's also like what 11 p.m. over there.
Well, I have a very specific time that I'm allowed to come out of my studio, and that
Oh,
is
okay.
midnight. I'm allowed to leave at midnight. Doesn't mean you have to stay with me. I'll
Okay.
record some videos afterwards, but yeah, she's going to be making cupcakes till midnight, and I distract her, because anytime I see
Oh,
something funny on my phone, I'm like, "Hey babe, look at this," and she's like, "Quit it, try to
I've burned
make
this now.
cupcakes." Yeah. Wait until you hit 70, says Dale. Dale's a great guy. I want to shout him out before we leave too, because Dale has been watching my channel pretty much from the beginning, and he's convinced me to buy way too many microphones, and he does a little bit of microphone reviews himself on his channel.
Nice.
And he's 70, and it doesn't matter, because age doesn't matter either. None of that
No.
crap matters. He's doing what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Hey, there's my buddy Marty from Canada. Marty did a podcast with me for a while, and then he flaked out on me. Screw you, Marty. I'm kidding. I love Marty. Just start is great advice. Yeah, he does a podcast with his son about wrestling, and it's really cool, and it's fun to listen to, and he just did it.
Yeah. That's the thing to do. People always say gear doesn't matter, and like I push back on that sometimes. Like, well, the gear opens up certain specifics, but when it comes to starting or not starting, it should never be the thing that gets in the way. Like,
Yes. Don't wait on the funds for the SM7B.
no,
Just
no, please don't.
please don't. It's a great mic, but please don't. Just
It's
start with
wonderful.
start
It's
with
right
what you
there.
got.
I
Get
love
get
mine.
get the SM7B from China that sounds more like, the Pile mic that you know and love. Get
Yeah,
that.
it's a
It'll
great
work.
mic.
It'll be fine.
$14.
It's fantastic. All right. If anybody doesn't have any more questions, if you do, throw them out there. By the way, I've not made it to season 3 of Ted Lasso. I don't want you to spoil anything for me, but is it still holding up completely? I'm at the end of season 2.
Oh, yeah, no, it's really good. This isn't really a complaint, but at first I was like, oh, the season premiere doesn't feel season premiere-y, but that's really not a complaint. But yeah, it just sort of keeps going. The story continues, and
Good.
I love it.
I keep seeing little snippets that kind of tell me a little bit of what happens, and I'm kind of upset. And I'm also upset that Jamie Tart told Kaylee he loved her. I'm really mad that he did that, and I hope that goes nowhere. But
Oh, Jamie.
We'll see.
Jamie.
we'll see.
Uh, yeah.
Jamie Tart. Do.
I'm definitely more of a Roy Kent fan.
Oh, Roy
Um,
Kent is the best thing ever. But I was really upset to see him at the end of Thor: Love and Thunder. That made me really mad, because that movie
Oh,
I
that's
did not like.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that
I was not
entirely.
happy about that. I was like, don't do it, Roy. Like, please don't do it. Like, I like Marvel movies. I really do. But I don't want everyone in them. Like, I
Yeah.
don't,
Need someone to be not in the Marvel universe. But yeah, I don't know. I also owe you huge thanks. Thank you for letting me be, because I was the one who was like, oh, I'll be on the show if you want, and then you let me dictate the schedule and the time and everything. So I super appreciate that.
that's just the way it should be. I don't, yeah, that's just the way it is.
It was easy. And this,
You're taking your time and doing this for no other reason than the fact that I like having conversations with people that do similar things to what
yeah, I've
I'm
loved
doing.
the other episodes you've done, and it's fun to talk in semi-real time. And this, the app we're using is awesome, because there is, at least on my end, there's no latency. It's like we're in the same room. It's awesome.
I saw Heather said that. Like, she was
Yeah.
watching it and there was like hardly any delay, which I'm really impressed with.
Yeah, she
So
must
it
be able
looks
to
like
hear me,
I'm-
and she's like, "He just said that."
That's awesome. Looks like I'm going to be paying for this, unfortunately. So,
Uh-oh.
which
Never mind. It sucks. It's terrible. Don't you?
Oh, it's terrible. What are y'all's in-game goals with respect to YouTube, or are there any? I know what Tom's answer is, because I just listened to it this morning.
Yeah. Keep doing what I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, as long as I can do it.
Same here. I don't have any desire to change it up. I don't need a. I love Lou from unbox therapy, but I don't need that big warehouse.
Yeah.
Kudos to the people that each to each his own. But
Right.
no matter if this jumped to 100K tomorrow, you would still see the same stuff because it's just, I'm happy with it. I'm fine
Yeah.
with it. This is just what it is, and continuing to do this, and there will definitely be more of this creator connection because the pandemic made a big dent in how we communicate, and I just kind of want to get back to that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun and rewarding, and you guys seem to enjoy it, so
Yeah,
I
this is fun.
appreciate the
I
heck out of
highly
you doing it.
recommend being a part of it if anyone has the opportunity.
And doesn't matter what it is, big, small, 10 subscribers, 10,000, doesn't matter. Whatever, if you create something and want to talk about it, we'll do it. TJ's awesome. He's another Ohio guy,
Aw, that's a
Cleveland
nice.
Guardians podcaster. Yeah, see, spent many hours watching Tom, spent many hours watching me. That's what it's all about. It's
I love it.
cool.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. All right, I'm gonna let you go, Tom, and I'm gonna find something to do for an hour so my wife doesn't, abuse me physically with her cupcakes, and that'll be that. Thank you, Celts Chronicles, for that. But yeah, Tom, thank you, man. I appreciate the heck out of it. I know you got a lot going on. I know Heather keeps you busy with creator tables, and I'm glad you could do a little creator table with me. And yeah, tell Heather if she ever wants to come on. It would help me tremendously to keep this thing going. And I think both of you are just about as cool as they come. So yeah, I appreciate you both.
I feel it. Feelings mutual. Thanks again.
Thank you, Tom. Guys, thanks for joining. Go check out. You all already watched Tom, but if for some reason you don't, I don't know what you're waiting for. Like, if you want to hear sure puns, and if you want to keep your content light but still learn from it, like there's not much better. I've said it for the past 6 months. Like, the absolute best combination of quality and content. My two favorites, Tom, and of course you got Bronson. I got to shout him out because he's just that guy. He's the first guy that really took me in as a YouTuber person. Yeah. And yeah, Tom's
YouTubers
cool
are
as heck
people
as
too.
well. Doesn't matter if he's got 100K, he's out there to help people. So thank you guys. Thank you, Tom. Tell Heather and the dogs I said hi, and I will talk to you again soon.
Alrighty.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it.
See ya.
See you guys.